boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports. With Jeff, Booner, Lucas, it is Tuesday, January 14th. We are back. Back show. Injury updates. We got some, Adam Schefter dropping some bombs on Detroit Lions fans. We'll break that down as well. Darby Joseph saying he should win Defensive Player of the Year. We'll get into that.
Whoa.
Fellas, last night, we have our divisional round. It's set in the NFC. Lions, Commanders, Eagles, Rams. Official.
Sam Darnold, baby. Sam Darnold.
Been telling, I've been saying too, having a great day too, by the way. I want to throw that out. Hey, good day for the boys today. It's a beautiful Tuesday night. We have how many days until the game? 4 days. It's weird. I keep forgetting it's a Saturday night game. I'm listening to all these interviews and these people talk about the game, and everyone's talking about Saturday night, and it throws my my mojo off a little bit. But hey, the Booner Path goes on Saturday night. We find a way to keep playing. Boys, I've been saying it for a little bit, and I heard it Adam Schefter say today. The way Sam Darnold's played the last 2 weeks, the man's lost some money. He has lost a handful of money, like not just like a slip. He has lost a lot of money over the last 2 games he's played. Brutal for the guy.
Poop the bed, biggest games of his career, and you saw Sam Darnold, what he's really about. But the fact of the matter is he's probably going to go get paid, what do you think, Boone, like 30, 40 million? And I think that in itself is crazy. But there's going to be a team, especially with this quarterback class, that'll go out there and sign Sam Darnold. But I think last night, and I know it can't sway the bar anymore, but Dan Campbell should be the coach of the year. There's no doubt about it. Like for Kevin O'Connell to put 2 back-to-back performances up like that, well, it shows a lot in itself. And Jeff, here comes Jeff with, he won 14 wins.
Well, they voted last week.
I was going to say
yesterday had nothing to do.
No, I know. That's why I said it can't sway it, but I just think it puts the magnifying glass on who's the better coach, because Dan Campbell has won in that exact same situation against McVay and won.
If you're in the media and it comes out and in the back of your head, like I'm sure there were some guys that voted for Kevin O'Connell to get coach of the year at first place, and they had Dan second. And I'm sure they were watching the game last night, like some of those, 50 guys, and they're like, oh no, this is going to come out. My ballot's going to come out and people are going to see this and I'm going to look so bad. So like, you better hope you didn't vote for Dan, or you didn't vote for Kevin O'Connell, because then you're going to look like you might lose your vote for the future if you voted Kevin O'Connell. Which crazy, even after the game, the Lions game, he was minus 700, minus 600 to win coach of the year.
Did you see his press conference about Darnold too?
Yeah, I did. It sounds like he's gone. I saw Schefter today.
It was a cute ride. It'll always have a special place in my heart. Like it was like, there's no chance he returns. They got Daniel Jones sitting on the side.
He said it was a good ride together with Sam. Like I had a great ride with him. But it's weird though, because Schefter mentioned today, he mentioned that like he lost a bunch of money the last 2 games that he played in. And he said he thinks what happened. He said he thinks with the money that he might have just played himself back to Minnesota for another year, because the contract's going to go down so much. Like he thinks once he gets out in the market, there's going to be teams who want him, but they're not going to be asking him for as much as he was supposed to get. And he was going to, like he said, that he thinks that Minnesota's going to look at it and be like, hey, we can match that, because he's not going to get much. You said 30 something, Claude. I don't know what the right number would be for him. But like, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty, might have taken like a
more money than he would have made without this year, though.
Yeah, it might have just taken a chop in half what he was going to get a week ago, though, or 2 weeks ago.
Because if he signs, he's not going to a San Francisco. He's not going to a Kansas. He's going to a Las Vegas. He's going to, I don't know, New Orleans can't even sign him, but he's going to a bad situation.
You know where he's going to go?
Kevin O'Connell.
He'll end up in Pittsburgh, and then the fan base is going to go nuts and be like,
I like that connection, Boone.
I don't. I hate it.
No,
I hate it.
Okay, this
that was a Clayton tune I love. I don't like that, Klotzy. Back up.
No. Like I'm saying, like I can see that happening.
Oh,
like,
okay,
I don't love. Like I can see that like actually happening there. Maybe like Cleveland even.
Yeah, I don't want to go through this Mike Tomlin thing again. Ooh, Russell Wilson. Now it's Sam Darnold. It's like, okay, 10 wins and they don't win a playoff game again. That's what that is to me. But Sam Darnold, I mean, yeah, I think he went from making, I think he was in the range before that Lions game of like 40. He was in the 40s, I think, million. Like he was in that range. I think that's what he was asked. He was going to command. And now he's probably at like low 30s, which is like in today's market, a pretty good. I mean, that's half of what guys are making. I mean, that's pretty good.
That's what Baker's making.
Yeah, that's about. And Baker signed last year. So Darnold experiment. I think it's. I mean, if I didn't hear Kevin O'Connell though, I didn't know he said that. I didn't know he said it was a nice ride and all this stuff. I didn't know that. So they're probably
a place in my heart. If you're Sam Darnold, you hear that, you're like,
I mean,
I'm broken up
and honestly,
live television.
Yeah.
If I'm Sam Darnold or if I'm the Vikings, like if you want to go JJ, even if you don't want to go JJ, you have Daniel Jones that you can, I think, bring on for a little bit too. It's like you might have, like, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is as good as Sam, but I'm saying I think we've seen quarterbacks go into Kevin O'Connell's system, and you've been able to see like quarterbacks blossom. And I've been a guy that's saying, hey, Daniel Jones does have the pieces to be a good. He has the arm. He's very, very mobile, and he can run. It's about putting in there. Like he was in New York. Like his best receiver was this year with Malik Neighbors. Before that, it was Kenny Galladay. Like, I don't even know who. Like Klotzy's guy, whatever his name is. Like, so like they easily can just be like, hey, we'll just move on to Daniel Jones, or we'll go with JJ.
Shout out Spencer, by the way. Got me right today, man. He said, as a Lions fan, I wanted Darnold to win that playoff game so we can keep playing against him.
I've heard that a lot this week. I actually have heard that a lot in the last 24 hours.
I don't know. There's a part of that that's true, but then there's another part where it's just like, I was tired of watching Sam Darnold in a playoff game. Like, I really don't want to watch Sam Darnold in an NFC divisional game. Like, I understand even against the Lions, but I have more confidence in Commanders than the Vikings just because it's a rookie quarterback. I mean, Sam Darnold's essentially a rookie quarterback at this point. I know he's probably been in the league for like 6-7 years at this point, but I don't care, man. Like, it was a matter of time till that shit blew up. I don't
just call him a rookie quarterback. He's like 30 something. That's crazy.
Can I ask? Well, I'm curious because He says, I want to see their Lord and Savior JJ McCarthy next year. Dude's got hella hype now.
I've already given my piece on JJ McCarthy.
But I am curious, just your guys' opinion. Let's say he played this year instead of Sam Darnold. Where would he be amongst rookie quarterbacks?
Amongst rookie, I think he would be right up there with those guys. Maybe not Jaden, but like Caleb.
Jaden, Bo Nix.
Yeah, I think he'd be maybe right behind a little bit. I just think the systems really matter in the NFL. Like I really believe that.
He's in a great situation.
In the situation with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Aaron Jones, offensive line's been good this year. Like they've had pieces. Like it's not like they've been that's a great place to be in. I mean, I said it in the draft show when we were doing the draft stuff. Anyone who has any quarterback that goes to Minnesota, that was probably the best situation available. And I still believe that. Like, I think that team, if they had a legit quarterback that wasn't Sam Darnold, they probably win a playoff game and they probably go on a little bit of a run. And they won 14 games with Sam Darnold, and we just saw what he did the last 2 weeks. And you won 14 games with that guy. So it's like, yes, like JJ would have been fine. Maybe not 14 wins, but they would be in my opinion, they would still be a wild card team.
Did you see the I mean, I saw it at the time, but it's resurfacing the locker room celebration when Sam balled out. Had like
that was they knew to celebrate for that game and that game only specifically because they
had him up
coming after that.
They picked him up and they're dumping champagne on him and he's going and then you see Kevin O'Connell in the background. Kevin O'Connell in the background
looked so depressed on the sideline too last night.
Yeah.
Like, imagine for guys like Harrison Smith, too, like, who's possibly like, this is your last year. You've kept your whole career in Minnesota. You could have went somewhere and won a ring, and it's the last ride. 14 wins, and your quarterback, Sam fucking Darnold. That's what he's had to endure. Sam Bradford, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold. Case Keenum was probably the best Minnesota quarterback I could think of recently, but I mean, Minnesota is just get a legit quarterback. Like they try to just act like it's a superficial position.
They got him.
JJ could be that guy.
You had to get the man some time. He's going to be a good quarterback.
He can develop. He ain't winning no NFC North though.
Not right now, but
he'll be better than Caleb.
I agree. At least Klotz, we agree on something there. At least
I've seen enough of Caleb.
Oh, dude, it's so bad.
Okay.
And the thing is, JJ's situation in his first year starting will be better than Caleb Williams' whole career in Chicago.
Agreed.
That is, I mean, what are we saying? Are we just spewing into the mic now? What's going on?
Jeff, I don't know. Where do you stand on with Caleb? Like, what can you literally just be like, yeah, he's like, okay, you could be like, well, look at his stat. I don't really care about. If you watched him play,
I did.
He holds on to the ball forever, and
yes,
he just
he does. Yes, he
does.
He
does not look like he's ready to quarterback to like be like, yep, that's our franchise. Like, no way. Oh my gosh, there's no way. I would have benched him 3 weeks ago. Honestly, I 100% would have.
I would say this: he's more ready to be a quarterback than anyone on that staff is ready to be a coach. Can we agree there?
Okay, fine, but he's still not ready. At least you can admit he's not ready.
I said he's more ready to be a quarterback than anyone on that staff is to coach, and anyone in front of him blocking. I'll say that. Can we agree there?
Hey, either way, though, a good player, a player that's supposed to be once a generational player, like LeBron. Hey, LeBron still went out there in 2005 or 6 and took the
basketball. This ain't basketball.
I'm just saying, if you're that good,
you know that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Daniels,
Booner, you coach
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Same class. CJ
Bo Nix.
Okay, you want to do this? You want to play this game?
Drake May had more hope when I watched him play. There was more light. There were more shining lights. There was more like, oh my gosh, Drake May is playing good football.
Drake May's my guy. I love Drake May, but
he showed a little bit more at times than Caleb. Caleb just never showed anything good.
That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. That is an absolute lie.
That nice background. Caleb's probably sitting in that water right now.
He's got a Caleb bobblehead probably right behind the monitor.
Oh my gosh!
Probably sleeps with it at night under his pillow.
You know what? At least he's in Chicago and he's not in Minnesota. Can we agree with that?
And that's why I said going back, like Caleb Williams will never have the situation that JJ McCarthy does, even in his first 4 years through his whole career.
They might get Big Mike. They might get Big Mike McCarthy.
He's definitely not going to have
the salvation, the great white hope, Mike McCarthy. No,
you know what's funny? It is like Caleb. The best thing about this, outside if they hired Ben Johnson, I don't think that's a home run hire for them. I know class were like, hey, he's a Bears guy, we hate him now, but like to them, that's like the home run hire. If they don't get Ben Johnson and they end up with like a Mike McCarthy or like a Brian Flores or just like one of these coaches where you're just
Cohen.
like, yeah, I'm gonna laugh so hard. I'm gonna be like, Bears fans thought that they fired their coach. They were like, hey, here we go. Hey, we're back. And then boom, you get the worst head coaching hire of all time. It's like that owner. It's so tough. I kind of want to feel bad for them, but.
Hey, I like the dysfunction. We don't need any more good teams in the NFC North. All right, keep being dysfunctional. That's fine.
I hope they go and get their hands on Arthur Smith. I hope there's a second wave of like people like, wow, look what Arthur Smith did with that Pittsburgh offense, got him in the offs. If Arthur Smith got thrown to the NFC North, most satisfying thing I can't stand watching Arthur Smith coach football. It's gross. I love watching Dave Montgomery play football, and he practiced today, huh? Full practice, full participant. Also, Terran Arnold, full participant. You see here, Terran Arnold, Dave Montgomery, full practice. Kevin Zeitler, no practice. I'm not going to panic yet. I think he's just, recovering. Excuse me. Ennis Rakestraw.
There should be a little panic with Kevin Zeitler.
Follow up.
I just Dan mentioned like, hey, we like I think he said it when they were about to go on their little break. Like he was like, hey, yeah, Kevin's like the injury. Like there's a question mark on it. Like we're not guaranteed to have him back for next week. Like he said that to the media before they went on their break. So I'm not saying like I heard anything today or yesterday. We could talk to the doc about it tomorrow. Maybe they'll get more follow up on it and they'll know more. But I just remember going into the break this bye week. I remember Dan saying. Some of these guys like Terrion, he even said Terrion and Kevin, not 100% sure. He said he thinks Terrion will be ready to go. I think Terrion actually said like, I'm going to be fine. But I think he mentioned Kevin Zeitler. It was like, this isn't like there could be a little, we're not like 100. We're not going to sit here and say he's going to play because a hamstring is a hamstring. It was a tough injury for him.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I was thinking, what did he do? Trip over his dog at home or something?
It was the fourth quarter. It was literally the last drive of the game. So Dan did mention before they went on that break, like, hey, this is something that we're going to have to figure out once we get back. He may or may not be ready though. Like that's not a guaranteed he's going to be back. So the no practice, I think it's more worrying too, the fact that someone in the chat just said it, like it's a whole week off and then you're still no practice. Like that right there is a little like concerning to me. Like Terry on a whole week off, full practice. Zeitler, full week off, no practice. That to me makes it seem like there's a chance he does not go.
And it's tougher with those with hamstring injuries. It's like a soft tissue versus like a foot. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the foot was.
Takes time. You can't rush that back.
It's a little more stingy. So I don't. Yeah, he didn't practice today. So again, they Christian Mahogany's shown he's more than capable of filling in. Ennis Rakestraw, no practice. I know Dan mentioned they might get him back for the playoffs. We'll see. Doesn't look like this week he's ready. Pat O'Connor, calf, no practice. That's someone that I think probably trending the opposite way.
I would say Pat maybe not even play the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, that calf injury he was dealing with.
When Dan talked about it, he was like, I don't even know. That could be a long-term one. And I hate hearing that. You don't like hearing that, especially from a coach, because he always he doesn't usually over-exaggerate. That felt like it was like, oh no, Pat's out for the year because it's only 3 games left.
Yeah. It comes at the worst time too, because even rotationally, he's a nice little piece you can throw in there.
Not Pat
Irishman. The Irishman.
You need him. The football gods are taking all the Lions' good players, and then Pat O'Connor was like he was like the lifeline, and then they just take him too. Now they have who's the other defensive tackle that's been playing a lot of snaps? They have like Chris Smith.
There's someone else.
There's someone else I'm missing. But there's other guys they're going to throw out there. But, man, that sucks. Pat O'Connor is playing some good football too, man.
Can I throw something out there with the David Montgomery thing?
Yes, sir, Boone, sir.
Klotz, this is towards you. This isn't a shot at you either. This is just, hey, I've observed things. I'm very good at observing, I feel like. One thing I know you're good at, Klotzy. You played DB, right?
A little bit.
How high level is your back pedal?
It was all right. I was more of a zone corner, Boone.
Okay. So you do have a good back pedal, though, right? You can get down back pedal.
Size. Yeah.
I heard you had a high level doing it today with the D-Mont 50-50 deal with the Jameer Gibbs and D-Mont. I heard you, and you were in your back pedal in there a little bit.
A little bit.
I tend to agree with you on that. I wanted to bring that up because it was like we had the convo the last time we talked about D-Mont, and you were saying the 50-50, and it was like more so where it's like, hey, if he comes back, it's probably going to be a lot more Gibbs than D-Mont. I think today, like, Dan was on 97.1. Shout out Costa and Jansen. Those guys do a great job. But they had asked him about D-Mont. One thing Dan keeps saying, boys, and I don't know where you guys are at with this, he doesn't say, like, yeah, he's going to be a full go. Like, obviously, he was like, we want to see tomorrow and Thursday and Friday in full practice. We want to see him kind of going and make sure he's good to go. He just keeps saying the same thing, though. There's going to be a role in this game for him. So, like, when he keeps saying that, like, I don't think it's a big role. I think there's more so, like, situationally, they're going to roll D-Mont. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just me, but when a head coach is saying we're going to have a role for him, typically when you have a role, like, his role is, like, dude, you're RB1A, a 1B.
B.
That's either one. Like, that's D-Mont's role. Like, he's a full go.
Yeah.
When you're like, hey, we're going to have a role for him, that to me makes it seem like they're like situationally 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. Some pass.
I would say D-Mont gets under over 9.5 carries.
I'll say under, because the thing is with this Washington defense, and again, this is another reason why I think this is like a perfect setup for the Detroit Lions to get to the Super Bowl is, I mean, we were talking about it earlier, Jeff, their run defense is bottom 5 in the league, bottom 6 in the league. Like they're not good at stopping the run. And you look at this offense in general, even if you're good at stopping the run, this offense is going to put points up on you. So when I look at the game, it's like this is a perfect opportunity to just go through the air as well, because I don't think Washington secondary is slowing down Jared Goff and these wide receivers. But you can still use Jameer how you have been, but situationally on 3rd and short, 2nd and short. I'm sure they're going to go for it on 4th down. If it's 4th and inches again, put in David Montgomery. Don't go play action, try to throw a crosser to Jamison Williams and have it get swatted at the line of scrimmage. No, you got David Montgomery. Bring him in for a play. Let yourself get a 2-3 possession lead, and then just keep Monty on the sideline. You got his bearings back, and you're going to need him in the NFC Championship game. and you're going to need him even more in the Super Bowl. So I think it's a good opportunity for Monty just to kind of get his feet under again, get healthy, get up some production. He could fall in the end zone, but I think he'll just be like a bruiser. Like I know they use him sometimes in the screen game. I don't think that happens this week.
I think they're going to have specific sets and specific plays where it's like, hey, this is a D-mont, and maybe they'll find them in a certain, they'll throw them in a screen here or there to where it's like, hey, make a play and kind of get them in the open field a little bit. I just don't like. Typically, you see D-mont, and the crazy thing is like typically you see obviously Gibbs get a little more touches than D-mont even when he was healthy, but the run game, you see D-mont get the majority of the carries. Like he's getting the 15, 16 carries where Gibbs is getting the 12, 13, but he's getting 5 or 6 touches out of the backfield as well with that. So I don't think you see the 15 plus carries from D-mont. I think it's more so what you said, Jeff, maybe 7 to 10. And then I think you see a couple times in the open field, maybe a couple screens for him. That's my vision on it. I don't think though I don't think he would come back if his knee wasn't ready. Like if it was anything to where he can't go at all, I think he would be like, yeah, we're shutting you down for another week or so.
Yeah, I think I think he'll get anywhere from, it's tough, like over under 9.5. It's like I want to go under, but I think he gets like 9. Like I could see him getting 10, but it's not going to be D-mont of what we usually see. I think they get him in the game. He has a role in the game, but it's going to be like a gradual increase from this game, assuming the Lions win, to next game. Like I think against the Eagles, he'll be
the Rams.
Or
I agree with you, Boone.
He
Good
really
call.
Jeff just was. He didn't know what to say.
Trust me, I wish I could say it.
Eagles are.
I'd rather play Philly.
Yeah, me too. But it's a weird concept to me that Jeff thinks the Eagles are like the big bad wolf. Like they should have lost to the Packers. The Packers lost like every single player on their team, and they almost beat them.
They have the best.
The Eagles are.
They have
they're not
entire
good.
Playoffs. AFC.
Jeff, the Eagles are not good. I'm just telling you now.
You can't
they're
say
not
they're
that
not
good.
good.
The Rams will beat them. The Rams will beat them.
Okay.
That defense isn't stopping Puka or Kyron Williams.
Puka on one leg?
Puka on one leg had 50, 60 yards after he got hurt. Matthew I promise you, and that defensive line, Jalen Hurts is about to be in for.
Well, they played. Luckily, we have evidence. They played once before in LA.
Oh, who won?
The Eagles did.
Exactly. It's time to flip the.
He really thought he was about to say the Rams did.
I think the Rams win.
I've been, you guys know, I've been consistent on it. The last team that anybody wants to play, especially if you're not playing up to your level, is the Los Angeles Rams, especially now that their defense is looking at the way that they are. Even for the NFC Championship game, Lions and Rams, a lot of people will be like, oh, Lions easy. Like that will be a close game. And
can I point something out?
Please.
Because I don't know if Boone already knows where I'm going with this. Every time you bring up the Rams, Klotz, you've had this narrative for a while where like the Rams in the postseason, team nobody wants to see. Booner's always said, "Oh my God!" I kind of.
I know you're on. I don't think it's
now. Boone has them in the NFC Championship.
But my reasoning is different than Klotz. I don't think that they're the team where I just think the Eagles are a fraud team. I've been saying that since like week 16. Since we sat down and watched the Eagles Panthers game together, Jeff. We watched that game together. What have I been saying since that day? I think we stepped out of Mike's house and I looked at you and went, that's a fraud football team. And I kept saying on there, I've said a million times, I said as soon as they hit a bump or adversity hits, that team's going to crumble so fast. And guess what? They lost in the regular season to end it where we got the 1 seed. They crumbled. The Packers, if they didn't lose Josh Jacobs and Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed, they would have crumbled. They were on their way in the second half. They were crumbling. We were watching them crumble. It was it was just, look at that. They're crumbling. Oh no. Oh, the football gods. Every player on the Packers got hurt. Oh, there we go.
AJ Brown whipping out a book.
And they were about to lose. They was 16-10, and they couldn't get anything going on offense. He threw a book out. I'm telling you, if the Rams give them a little bit, that team will crumble so fast. You think that if they start to crumble, that team listens to Nick Sirianni be like, come on, boy. Like, no. They look at him and laugh
usually
and walk
start
away.
getting in fights on the sideline. And that's the thing with like
they
Philly.
Crumble.
Especially when you have Saquon, the running back that he is, and how important he is. If LA gets up by like 10 points, Do you really trust that offense to be able to come back? I understand that the Eagles have a good defense, but we've said it numerous times. There's not a defense in the NFL, forget the NFC, but the NFL where you're like, whoa, like they're stopping everybody in front of them. Like, no, like if the Rams get up early, Sean McVay's been in plenty of situations, and especially his record when being up at halftime is ridiculous. He's lost, I think, 4 times. You can count on the time on one.
I'm not going to agree with anything Klotz says. I'm just on the Eagles side here.
On the Eagles side, I'm just saying the Rams
not like that, but
No, I know what you're saying. The Rams are built to go in there and beat anybody. Philly can beat most teams, but I don't think they're a full team as much as people say that they are.
Every time they play a tough team, they crumble. They do. It's just it's a fact. I don't know what else to say. You could have the best defense in the NFL. We're in the NFL to where, hey, if your offense is scoring a lot of points, good luck trying to win the game, buddy. You can't stop them. They won't be able to. And real quick, too, I'm sorry. This is supposed to be about D-Mont. This is on me for going the Eagles route. Do you guys see a world where D-Mont, and I'm starting to envision a little bit as we're talking about it with David Montgomery coming back, there's a world where he gets a couple carries to start the game, or whether it's the first, second, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying his first couple carries, and he goes out there and he has 3 carries for 15, 16, 17 yards. And you're like, oh, whoa, D-Mont. And he's kind of cooking. And it's like Ben and them, they look at him and he looks at them and goes, I'm good. And they just give him 15 carries on Saturday night. I think there's a world where they're like, when guys come back, like, look at Anzalone. Klotz, you could say no all you want. I have proof on the table. They went into that game literally. No, it's not.
It's a hand versus a knee.
It doesn't matter. It's you're playing football versus you're playing football. They literally said he's going to be on a snap count. They said you're on a snap count, and he went out there, never got taken off the field. I think D-Mont, if he's playing, Klotz, he got hurt. They told him, hey, your knee is hurt. And he said, I'm good. I'm going back out there. And went out and got like 40 yards. And then later the next day, they're like, hey, MCL out for the year. And then all of a sudden, like D-Mont does not care if it's a knee or Klotz, if it's a knee injury to where you're like, it's a knee, he wouldn't be playing. He wouldn't be suiting up.
No, I'm not saying he's still hurt, but when you talk about Anzo breaking a wrist versus D-Mont hurting ligaments in his knee, what is more easier to re-injure, especially as a running back?
No, if they had any chance to re-injure, he would not be playing. He wouldn't play.
This is a more crucial question, and I think you'd agree with both of the statement I'm about to say. The Detroit Lions can beat the Washington Commanders with or without David Montgomery.
I agree. But
so when you look at
not
that,
getting my
if
point.
he's
You're
going
not
out there
hearing me
having a good game, perfect. You can send him in the NFC Championship on a high note. He's going to be winning the divisional round. He's going to have a good game, and he's going to be healthier and ready to go.
That's why you're a Ryan Day fan and Ohio State fan.
You asked the question, could you see a world? And I'm telling you no. So you're saying that's the world we're going to be in?
I'm telling you, you don't have the Dan Campbell mindset that we're talking about here.
Dan Campbell
if D-Mont's out there going crazy and having a good day, and he looks at Dan and says, I'm good. Knee feels good. Dan's like, okay, go. Dan's not going to be like, no.
He will have a role. He will have a role. And you just said, I don't think that D-Mont's going to be out there full D-Mont like we expect. I think
you know what? It would be beautiful if he goes out there, gets 15 for 100, and then he's not injured. He's healthy. I'm going to look right at you, Klotz, and be like.
And I'll be like, I was wrong. Was it the responsible thing to do? Absolutely not.
You got to get in that DB bag of yours a little bit. Get down in that stance and backpedal.
If I'm,
what is the correlation with that one?
Backpedaling, you get it?
See, I'm in a tough spot because it's like you want to be smart about it, but also, I mean, this could be your last game. I mean, I throw it all out there. I'm with Boone.
I agree to the point with Klotz this, and Jeff, I think you agree.
Yeah.
If you have a lead and you're comfortable and Gibbs is playing fine, roll with it and let D-Mont get his rest. Don't let him re-injure it. That's not the point we're making. But if it's one of those games where D-Mont's the one that's having a game and they're like, hey, give the hot hand the ball. They always say that. And you're in a battle, you go D-Mont and you let D-Mont get 15. And you let him go out there and cook. If he's playing well and you're in a battle, you let the man cook. That's it. I'm not saying force it.
If it's a bloodfest and it's like a 3-point game, then yeah, go for it.
Okay.
So Jeff, So he is literally on our side. But
Yeah!
it's great. All these people in the chat, they're like, stand with Klotz. We literally have stood with
Is
Klotz.
that going to be? Hold on. Is that going to be the situation? No.
We're not saying is it going to be. We agree that they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. What we're saying, if you're in one of those games, Demont's the hot hand, and you're in a battle, would you be surprised if there's a world where that happens and Dan's like, we're riding the hot hand and we're going Demont? 100% to Jeff's point. It could be if it's a one possession game and that's your best running back, and Gibbs is maybe not getting what he usually does. We've seen games this year like that, and Demont's the guy that's getting it. Then you got to say, okay, here we go.
Klotz didn't like that.
We've seen that before.
I understand.
We've seen that before. You're acting like
that situation is not going to happen, in my opinion. So it's just like realistically.
Oh my gosh!
I don't see that.
You know what? This guy. A lot of things we talk about on this show, and we give out scenarios. Half of the things you say aren't realistic too. Clayton Tune being started quarterback for the Cardinals. Come on, Klotz.
Hey, we're doing low blows. This is why you're Ryan Day fan slide. I let that slide. That's fucking ridiculous.
You're trying to say
that's tough, Boone.
Jeff, he's trying to say our side doesn't matter because it'll never happen.
I'm not saying
we're having the discussion.
When did I say it didn't matter? You posed the question.
I think I gave it pretty well.
And we know what I see? A game that's 2-3 possessions. I don't see a one
possession game. The question wasn't
I don't see David Montgomery going out there.
Jeff, tell Klotz, the question was not if it was 2 or if it's a close game and he is the hot hand, would you be shocked if he got 15 carries? That was the question. There's no, well, I don't think it's going to be that. No, the question's the question. You answer the question as is.
That's
part. That's we're on radio. We're on.
You're adding words.
On ESPN and stuff. When they get asked questions, they don't say, "Well, no, that'll never." No, they answer it as is. I want you to answer it as is.
Answer the question.
It's it's a simple question. Michael Daly.
I answered.
All right.
And if it's a close game, yeah. It's just
so you agree with us? All those stand with Klotz. All those
just 2 minutes ago.
We're always like we're chasing our tail right now. That's what's going on.
It's good dumb though.
I got the clip. Adam Schefter, Shefty on Pat McAfee talking about Lions assistant coaches. I mean, he had something interesting to say. Let's hear from Shefty. Shout out to Pat McAfee, by the way, because Shefty's great on there.
Aaron Glenn is going to get a job in this cycle. Ben Johnson is going to get a job in this cycle. And I think that there's every possibility and probably likelihood that the Lions are going to be losing both their coordinators in this cycle. I'd be really surprised if both of them didn't come out of this with head coaching jobs. And I think Aaron Glenn is somebody that already is getting a lot of attention with the Jets, a lot of attention in New Orleans. And like I said, it'd be a major upset to me if he didn't come out of this with a job. Aaron Glenn.
All right. So I made a video about this. I'll just say where I'm from. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on this whole thing. And I want to make this very clear. I don't have better sources than Adam Schefter. So I'm going to make this this is my opinion. This isn't, I saw a couple people in the comment section, and I love reading the comments. I try to respond to them. But I think a couple people were getting this impression that I'm oh no, Schefter, you're misinformed. This is the real information. I'm telling you what makes sense and what doesn't. So when I hear Adam say this, and he brings up Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and then he kind of mentions really only Aaron Glenn and the interest that he has with teams, and teams have interest in him. I know there's interest for Ben Johnson, but I think Adam saying this, he's getting the perspective of teams he's talking to that are giving him, not Ben's camp. This man has not spoken to Ben's camp. I don't know that for sure, but I would bet that Ben's he keeps everything pretty tight. I'm sure he's getting his information from the teams Ben interviews with. And I'm sure those teams are like, we like him. Does that mean Ben will take the job? No, not at all. I still stand on what I think will happen. I think AG leaves. He mentioned the Saints and the Jets. I think the Saints job for him makes it just too much sense. I think he goes to the Saints still. And I still believe Ben will be back. I spoke on this in the video. Why not wait for the playoffs to end? You win the Super Bowl, maybe the Bills job opens up. Maybe the Bengals next year if you come back a year. Maybe the like I always say, the Chiefs eventually at some point. even if it's not those, there's better jobs than what's available, man. Like Salah's reportedly, almost a done deal with Jacksonville. Like
that's crazy.
The pool is shrinking. Like you got Chicago, the Eagles, another one, Ryan. Thank you for that. It's a great one. Not that I'd want him to go there, but yeah, another great job. The pool is shrinking, guys. So when you hear Adam say that, what do you make of this whole? What do you make of it?
I'm on my original take there as well with you, Jeff. Like the from the jump, it was AG is gone. I think he said here in this video too. He said AG is at the top of the list for the Jets. So like obviously, I think AG was in New York for a while. I think he might even coach there at one point. I'm not 100% sure on that. But there's a lot of teams out there. The Dallas job now open. Everywhere that AG has been, literally New York, New Orleans, and Dallas.
That isn't Houston.
They're all open. So I don't see a world where Aaron Glenn doesn't land a head coaching job and he doesn't take it. Like I think he's, if I was a betting man, which I am, and I had a chance to do it, I would bet on everything for AG to be gone this offseason. Now I'm with you a little bit with the Ben Johnson stuff. I think there's now two teams, and Easy actually just put it in there with the Raiders. Like I think the Raiders is actually a legit chance that Ben goes there, and I don't think I don't think he should. Like, I think that's one of the worst positions to go to. I think all of that. I just think there's a world where he sits down with Tom Brady and Mark Davis and they lay out a plan for him. And Mark Davis is a great salesman. There's a reason he owns the Raiders. And he's been able to bring good coaches there. If you look a couple years ago, John Gruden, he had the Raiders back kind of fighting for playoff spots and had them there. And I think they're going to be able to lay out, say, hey, this is our plan. This is what we want to do. You're going to be able to find you're going to be able to find a way to get your own quarterback. We have an open GM spot. We're going to be able to work on that. We have these pieces like Max Crosby. Like, I think they're going to be able to convince Ben, like, hey, this is a good spot. Like, Vegas is a big spot to be. And then I think Jacksonville. But to your point, Jeff, like, things are going to start closing quick. And some teams are going to want to find their guy and some teams will wait. And I'm interested to see who will wait for Ben Johnson. My guess, honestly, and I said it a couple weeks ago, I think the way everything ends up going out and working out, I think Ben's like, hey, I'll just stay another year. In the comments, I said it a couple times with Jared Goff. Those comments with Jared Goff, those hit me a little bit when Jared says, I've spoken with Ben. I've told Ben, hey, I would love to have you back for one more year. Whether they win a Super Bowl or not, I think those comments resonate with a guy like Ben Johnson, who's been in Detroit for so long and has been with Jared Goff. If that guy is telling you, hey, we would love to have you back, and they have a genuine, yes, they created this offense together, like side by side. They sat down in a conference room for months and created this offense. So I think that has some weight to it. And I wouldn't be shocked, and I'm going to stand on it. I think Ben Johnson will be a Detroit Lions OC next year. I get what Schefter's saying. I'm with you on that, Jeff. I think like people like the Raiders and the Jaguars are doing everything in their power, and the Bears, to hit a home run and get Ben Johnson. They're throwing everything. But I think you go there and you say, hey, Ben's like, I could wait till next year and get the Bengals job. Maybe I can get the Eagles job. Like, there are opportunities out there. So, hey, AG's gone. Klotz, I'm sorry. You've been on the AG stand. You've been on the complete opposite. I think AG is like, that's a done deal.
Everything you guys are saying about Ben Johnson is completely true. And
like,
I
the opposite
hear all this noise about AG to the Saints. It's a perfect connection. Maybe for a fucking movie script for a Disney movie. Perfect. Yeah, he goes back to his former team. If you're AG and you're looking yourself in the mirror and you go, Derek Carr ain't taking a pay cut. Alvin Kamara's already re-signed, and he's only going to be a little bit more. Chris Olave's already had 5 concussions his fucking career. DeMario Davis is about to retire. Cam Jordan's about to retire. Tyrann Mathieu about to retire. No, we just so happen to have the least amount of cap space in the NFL. They're not going to be able to draft the rookie quarterback. Go ahead and do it. You're gonna have to sit through Derek Carr in that cap space. So AG to the Saints. If you want to believe it, go ahead. I don't see it happening. I could see maybe a possibility of the Jets because they have some players there. But everything that people say about Ben Johnson, where it's like he's proven himself, he can wait another year for a better destination. The same thing applies to Aaron Glenn. You think Aiden Hutchinson comes back next year is going to make this defense worse? Do you think Aaron Glenn, with year 2 of Terrion Arnold, who's going to improve, year 3 of Jack Campbell, Brian, all these rising stars on the defensive side of the ball are just going to dissipate? And there's not going to be better teams that he can go reset the culture. They'll be rebuilding, but they won't be having this weak draft class, no cap space, and there'll at least be better owners than Woody Johnson available. Booner, what did you say? Jerry Jones, worst owner in football. Right behind him's Woody Johnson. Right behind him is Sean Khan. Like, this is the bottom of the barrel when it comes to NFL teams. There will be bad openings, but it won't be this bad. They're both staying. They're both staying.
You call him Sean Khan?
Sean Khan.
You said Sean Connery.
Whatever.
What?
Stay whatever.
No.
Listen,
Like
you're spitting, dude. Like this is the thing now. I mean, I was trying to explain to you last week. Like, you're not wrong with anything with the openings. Like, these are not good openings. Like, offensively, like I think the Jags opening is a good one with all the pieces. You're not wrong. Does that mean that AG is going to be like, no, yeah? I think AG is like, yes, I'm going. Like, I
think Aaron Glenn is a very intelligent man. I think he's got a big brain working between those two ears. You even see it kind of has a little groove with AG.
Listen.
He's not. He's not going to take a dog
had
shit
enough.
opening.
AG's had enough.
Man.
AG is so ready to have his own team. So right. I think Anzalone said it. Anzalone said it today or yesterday. He's like, he literally is on a Dan Campbell level. Like, the fact he doesn't have a job is crazy. So I think like the hype, like Dan said it. Dan didn't even say it about Ben. Dan's just said it about AG, said he needs to have a job this offseason. Like, I think it's gotten to that point. And Klotz, I'll say it a million times, Klotzy. I agree with you. Like, he shouldn't. Like, those jobs are not pretty. But it's like time. Like, everyone in the world is being like, AG. He's probably right now a bigger candidate than Ben Johnson is. Like, and it's like Ben is like the next massive mind in offense here in the NFL. And AG right now, what he's done the last couple of weeks with this defense, he is like the number one candidate. I don't see a world where he's like,
Steve Wild's Lions were a shit job, huh?
They didn't have.
You have nothing to say there.
Shit cap space situation where they're literally worse.
Jamie
than the
Collins.
NFL. They just
Trey Flowers.
We're talking with the New Orleans Saints on $145 million under the cap.
How that works.
They weren't. Hold on, I'm not
so
done.
fast.
I am not done.
How far over the cap was the Chargers when
not
Harbaugh went there?
I am. Why this is so much
million.
different than the Lions? How much draft capital did they get for Matthew Stafford? And they were able to reset their quarterback situation with Jared Goff. They were able to inherit a good offensive line. The players on defense that were something were nothing. In the Saints, they got Cam Jordan for $30+ million. Tyrann Mathieu. They just traded away Marshawn Lattimore. Paulson Adebo, their best defensive player, can get to the quarterback. He couldn't cover a fucking shit with a piece of tissue paper. They have nothing going. You could say, well, they can turn. Why would you do all that, Aaron, when you can do it in a better situation next year? If people are saying this for Ben Johnson, it applies to Aaron. It does.
Klotz, you are proving, I think, the point of like the Chargers. They had 100 guys on these $30, $40 million deals. Harbaugh came in with a new GM in year one, and they cut everyone. They let guys go. They traded guys. They cleaned house. Like, you can do it. Like you're like acting like he goes in there and he's gonna like these guys are gonna have no control. You're stuck with these guys forever. The next 6 years. No, God, it's like it's literally like the Lions. You came in, you started from the bottom. Listen, Klotz, I'm just gonna be quite frank with you, and you know what? I'm gonna be very honest with you because you know what? We're friends here. All right, I love you, Klotzy. I do, bottom of my heart. I love the hat you're wearing right now, that chain you got going over there. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what, Klotzy. 95% of the NFL job openings every year. I'll tell you what, Klotzy. 95% of them are bad job openings every year. You get lucky once every. Klotz, you said the same thing last offseason. We had the same conversations. No. It is this bad. You have to be able to go into a franchise and do what Dan did here in Detroit. If you want to be able to take over a job and be respected in the NFL, at some point, someone's got to go in there and change that. That's how you gain, in my opinion, that's how you gain the respect. Like, if you want to get something handed to you and just be like, hey, I'll just these guys don't have this mindset, Klotzy. I know you want the man to say AG's got a fighting mentality. He's a dog. He wants to go somewhere and be like, I built this. I know you're used to Ohio State and Ryan Day being stepped on third base. He doesn't want to start on third base. He wants to start in the pit. He wants to start in the batter's box, and he wants to build it up himself. And I respect that. And I think a lot of these coaches want to do the same thing. But a lot of these coaches who take those jobs They believe they can do the same thing. So every offseason, Klotzy, we can do the deja vu stuff and be like, these are all bad jobs. Okay, year later, these are all bad jobs. One more year. These are bad jobs. Like, we can keep doing that year after year if you want. Or AG can be like, hey, I'm taking this opportunity. I see something here. I know what this culture is about. I played there. I've coached there. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go change. I'm going to go turn this thing around. Okay? So, Klotzy, you need to, hey, I want your mindset to change a little bit over there, Klotzy. Put that hat, turn it backwards like Dan Quinn, and lock in.
Well, Aaron Glenn stays. He stays.
It's going to be a tough look for you today.
But look at it from AG. I think AG would take, like, I'm with Boone. Like, I think AG would look at the Saints and be like, I'm going to turn this place around because he has that connection already. He coached there. Like, he knows the city, knows the organization, knows ownership. And who won that division this year?
Buccaneers.
Who's their head coach?
Todd Bowles.
Defensive mind. He can go in there, give him a couple years. They got to get a quarterback. I understand that.
It's not going to be overnight.
No. But
it's literally just going to be like a line.
That division ain't some the Falcons' defensive head coach. Like, he'd be fine in there.
Wherever AG goes, he's literally going to Klotz. Like, he was here from day one with Dan Campbell. He is going to literally build wherever he goes. He's not going to be great year one, and he's going to take it and he's going to build it from the ground up, and he's going to work on it. And it's going to and I'll tell you what, and I'll guarantee it right now, Klotzy. I'm not saying you don't have confidence in him, but right now, the way you're saying that he can't take these jobs makes me feel like you don't have I guarantee you, Klotzy, within 4 years, Aaron Glenn will have his team in the playoffs, even if he takes the worst job in football. Aaron Glenn is that good, and he has that mindset, and he is a great culture guy. His team and his franchise will be in a playoff game within year 4. That was the timetable for Dan in Detroit. Year 4 for him, I guarantee it. He is fighting for playoff wins.
Okay.
Even if it's I don't care if it's in New York, New Orleans, Dallas. I don't care where it's at. He's going to be successful.
I think anytime you take over a team, especially if it's a rough situation, I think in 3 years you should be in the playoffs. And maybe even as a wild card team, that's fine. Like maybe you get in as like you're 10-7 or something like that. I'll say this. I want to quickly. I didn't get to say it earlier because I have a video of Anzalone talking about AG. So I'll get to that. The comments you made earlier, Bruno. I got the video for that. Yeah. But I want to say this real quick on Ben Johnson of the Raiders. Because and I talked about this in the video today, because I know Easy said earlier he thought, the Raiders job might be his. And I will listen to that because of Tom Brady. Like, I think his recruiting ability is probably excellent. He's going to be at the forefront of that. And Boone put it well, like Mark Davis, you're probably going to sell him everything. They built a new stadium. Like, you're in Las Vegas. Like, I get all that. But here's, from Ben's perspective, this is what you're looking at. You're looking at an organization that has had rarely little to no stability at all in its history. Like, that's something Ben has talked about consistently: stability, good organization. Like, the Raiders are the antithesis of that. And
what?
Look at it like this, okay? If you're Ben, you go to the Raiders. Your division alone, Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, Andy Reid, like, that is not, and you're with the Raiders and you don't have a quarterback? And the Chargers have Justin Herbert. You got Mahomes. You got Bo Nix, who's actually a really good player now. But you're with the Raiders? The Raiders? Like, I'm telling you, that'll be, if he goes to the Raiders, I'll say this right now.
Okay.
He won't be there longer than 5 years, 4 years. I won't say, maybe even shorter than that. It's not gonna work. No way in hell. And that's not going to be on. I think that's going to be Ben fighting an uphill battle every day and being like, damn, unless they can get him the next CJ Stroud or something, like kind of like what Houston did. They got a franchise quarterback. I don't know. It's going to be a tough job. So I would say no if I was Ben Johnson to the Raiders. Just wait, man. Like, the AG's a player and he's older. I think AG's in his 50s. I think someone put that in the comments. I didn't actually think about that. He's in his 50s. He wants to be a head coach, but I mean, he's not getting any younger. So it's that comment. Whoever said that's spot on. Ben Johnson's in his 30s. Like, that dude can be a coordinator for 20 years and then become a head coach, and he can still coach for 15, 20 years. So Don't go coach the Raiders, man. Like
The Raiders.
Like
Yeah,
it's not even just because I don't want him to leave. Like, no, go, but it's gonna fail miserably, man. It's not a good decision. It's not to go coach the Raiders. I don't get that.
No comment.
You disagree?
No comment.
Hey, all right. I love this comment. Ben waits one more year, gets the Bengals job. Like Bengals, Eagles, whatever. There's going to be more jobs that open up, man. So, look at this. Lion King says, Klotzy, no disrespect, but I don't think you are taking into consideration AG's age. The older you get, the chances don't always come around.
We're acting like we're living in dog years here. Like one season. Is that what we're doing? Like,
I mean, you decided last year.
Instead of 56. No.
You did say it last year.
Like he's on life alert or something.
Are you going to say it every year?
No. If there's
you said it last year.
I even said to you, and I think the thing that they missed out on, if Dallas would have been trying to get AG from the get-go, I would have been like, AG, go to Dallas. That's what you should do. I think Aaron Glenn and Dallas
try and get him.
They possibly could, but I think at this point it's a long shot. Like I think if there was a window to get him, he's going to be listening to the Saints and the Jets first. I don't think that's a responsible move. I don't think that's going to happen. But the Cowboys would have been the job, in my opinion. But Jerry Jones was irresponsible again. So like they have defensive talent, they have a quarterback, they have pieces on offense. They've won divisions before. I think Aaron Glenn definitely has better upside than Mike McCarthy. And if you get in the playoffs, like he's getting in the playoffs better than he is with New Orleans. And guess what? Both cat situations are fucked. So,
no comment.
Hey, well, I'm going to play this video. Anzalone talking about AG and his ability, called him or referred to him basically as same level as Dan Campbell. So that's Adam Schefter's podcast. So let's take a listen.
That has impressed you and what you've learned from him.
Yeah, I mean, I say this a decent amount. Everything that is said about Dan, as far as leadership and culture and development and all those great things. It's him and AG in my mind are, two of the best I've been around, and they're on the same level. And I think, like you said, he's ready for a head coaching job. I know he wants it. And, I've seen him develop just as a coordinator and a coach, and it's cool to be a part of. And I think that, he's one of the best teachers that I've been around as far as defensive football too.
You said they're on the same level though.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I think that AG's ready to be a head coach. I think that has all the qualities and command and leadership and culture setting that Dan has, and he's learned from Dan, and he's developed under him, and I think that he's ready to do it.
Oh no!
There's one comment in there that shuts everything down that Klotz said.
Talk
everything.
What is it?
One, it might have been like 2 or 3 words. He wants it. AG wants it. And I'll guarantee you this, Klotzy, Aaron Glenn will be offered a head coaching position. There's no like, oh, maybe he won't. He will be. Everyone in his circle is saying he wants to be a head coach next year. He wants it. There is no more AG's returning. AG's coming back. You know what, Lions fans, instead of acting like, oh, no, they're coming back, maybe we should start to, who's the next DC? Let's win a Super Bowl. Who's the next DC? Let's stop having these arguments if AG's leaving or not. He's leaving, Klotz. You're wrong with that one. I'm sorry.
Booner,
I'm done arguing with you about this. It's over. Like, I respect you. You're like one of those guys.
And I'll tell you why.
No, hold on. You're one of those guys in those movies that just get like beat. And then it's like, oh, dude, he's dead. And he's just like, buddy, like, stop.
It's a cockroach.
Like, you're literally a cockroach. You're not like I'm trying to kill you, and you're not dying.
Let me ask you this, Boone. Let me ask you this.
You're wrong.
Do you think if you were to ask Eric or Jared Goff, do you think Ben Johnson wants to be a head coach? Absolutely. I don't doubt anything.
Jeff,
that is being said about that.
Done.
It's going to be next year.
Klotz, I just don't know. Like, I wish I could help my friend out here.
Wait when they run it back.
Let me ask you a controversial question, you guys. All right?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
In the chat, I want the chat to answer this. Be completely honest. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn both become head coaches. who has more success?
Oh, this is tough.
I mean, are we
Gotta
gonna
pick
say
a
if it's on
side.
level if it's on a level playing field?
Level playing field. I know situations matter, but let's just say level playing field. Who would you have more confidence in to be? He said he's the next Dan Campbell. That's a top 5 coach in the league.
I want to say who I said earlier. I think I want to say who I said earlier.
I think it's AG because AG, it's simple. Like, I think when you have
That's
a
what I'm
guy who's,
thinking.
and I think it replicates in many situations, but I think it's more important to have a feel on your locker room than it is to be drawing up X and O's. And I think that's displayed every time with Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell. You can be a great offensive mind. That's fine. And I'm not saying that there aren't great offensive minds that can win Super Bowl like Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan, but you have to be that in order to be great in the NFL. Andy Reid was in Philadelphia forever, got fired, got Patrick Mahomes, got the gang together and won a Super Bowl. But when you look at Ben Johnson, like, there's a lot of situations that are, and I don't think he's going to be Brian Callahan, but you see Brian Callahan's every year. I think Ben Johnson at his worst will be like a Mike McDaniel. Like, I think that's what I think. I think AG is going to be like a D'Amico Ryans type of player, or a coach, I should say. I just think he's going to have a great feel for his locker room.
I think what Anzo said there puts everything in perspective. And I remember 10 minutes ago, my guarantee was AG will have a team in the playoffs in the next 4 years. Like, I truly believe that. Like, I think the turnaround Dan had, I think AG was a big part of it, whether the defense was great or not. Jeff, what was one thing that me and you always, like, every time we talked about a new or AG, and when we were arguing last year, and I was like, hey, you need personnel or you need the scheme to change. The one thing we always said about AG was, like, he is built to be a head coach. Like, he's a player's guy. The players love him. He knows how to communicate with players. He knows how to motivate. He knows how to bring culture. He knows how to build all of that. And I think that's, like, it's to me in the NFL, like, Andy Reid has the offensive mind, but he's also, like, you hear stories about him connecting with players and constantly everywhere he's been, like, players love him and they love how he motivates and how he goes about it. It's the same thing with every successful head coach, is the motivation side. And I think, like, AG, the defensively, he's got it down. Yeah, obviously he needs to find an offensive mind to help and get a quarterback wherever he's at and help kind of get that, the quarterback, GM, coach trio that we talk about all the time. But I just think AG, and I think Ben's going to be successful. I think they both will be successful, but obviously I think I know. But hey, let me finish my sentence. Hey, why don't you just let me finish my sentence? But I think if I had to choose, hey, who would win a Super Bowl first, I would go AG, in my opinion. I would say I think AG finds a way quicker to build a program up and get that done. Now, obviously, scenarios, and you take the level playing field out. Like, if Ben instantly goes and gets a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence and has all these weapons, and, like, yeah, obviously he's a step ahead. But to Klotz's point, if you're on a level playing field, then to me it's AG. I think it is, because I think culture is a big, big part of it, and he, like, really knows how to connect with players. He really does.
I tend to disagree.
Did you guys think I didn't pick a side? I literally said AG.
No, you
multiple
said AG.
times.
No, I was saying answer the question, because you were just throwing in some, like, well, if Ben Johnson gets a quarterback, who is
obviously,
obviously. Yeah, and you answered it. You did, Boone. You said AG. You feel AG, and you said AG too, Lucas. I'm not going to disagree with anything you guys said, because I think all of our valid points. I think what Anzalone's saying too. I think leadership, people in the chat, and everyone in the chat, you guys are right on that. Leadership matters.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Ben Johnson, because I think Ben Johnson, guys, and this is the big thing here. Offensive league, I'm taking Ben Johnson. And I know leadership, it matters, of course. But I'm not going to sit here and act like Ben Johnson can't lead anything. You know, I think the situation Ben has been in, Dan Campbell being the offensive guy, like, Dan Campbell, I'm sure AG, like, Dan's not in, like, defensive meetings and, like, talking to these like, AG handles all that. I do think Dan is involved to some extent with the offensive personnel and Ben Johnson. So I think Ben would be fine as a head coach. I don't think he's this rah-rah Dan Campbell type of guy, but you don't have to be to win. It's been proven. I mean, like, you don't have to be. I will go with the offensive mind. I think Ben would work with, really, I mean, he would make any offense better. And I'm seeing more success in terms of winning Super Bowls with offensive guys. So I would go Ben, but AG, again, it's like what you were saying, Boone. It's not about putting the other guy down. It's just pick one. Who would you bank on having more success? I would go Ben Johnson long term. But again, situation matters. I know we said level playing field, but you're right. That's the NFL, man. Like it is. Situation matters. If Ben goes to like the Eagles and AG goes to the Saints, it's like, okay, he doesn't.
Why'd you do that, AG? Why'd you go to the Saints? How dumb was that? What you'd be saying?
Well, doesn't mean he can't turn around the Saints. Okay, it's gonna take a little bit. I think in the NFL, if you become a head coach somewhere, 3 years. I think that's how it works. Dan Campbell did it in 3 years. You tank the first year, you improve the next year, and then you're a playoff team the next year. That's how I think it should go. That's why there's worst to first in the NFL. Like the NFL is not like the NBA where it's like the Pistons have been in a rebuild for a decade. Like you should be able to turn teams around in, a couple of years. Unless you're dysfunctional. I mean, that's a whole nother thing.
Like the Jets.
Are you guys flirting? What's going on? I mean, what are we doing here? Are you guys?
No, I'm just observing. I'm just observing.
You guys.
Why? What happened?
I don't know. You tell me. I don't know what's going on.
I think you're in your head, Jeff. I think
the chat. What are you talking
going
about?
on when there's not?
Yeah, I don't know. He's reading something. I don't know what he's reading over there. Man, it's just not locked in.
All right. Well, at least we answer that. You guys go AG, I go back.
This man was shook.
I'm still shook. I mean, this what are we doing here? Speaking of AG, had a huge impact on this player.
Great transition.
Okay. Had a huge impact on Kirby Joseph. Kirby Joseph loves that man. And Kirby Joseph went on Ari
Mayrov.
Is it Mayrov? Marov?
Ari Mayrov.
Ari Mayrov. Okay. Went on his podcast and talked about Defensive Player of the Year. And he said Kirby Joseph said he should win the award. Okay. I mean, and I love Kirby. I love the confidence. I think Kirby's having a hell of a year. He's an all-pro, like all that stuff. He deserves it. But let's be real here. Like Rob Parker says, no way, no how. I don't think Kirby Joseph will win Defensive Player of the Year. How many safeties have won Defensive Player of the Year since 2000?
It's a good question, actually. It's a great question.
The only one that I can think of that maybe have done it is like Troy Polamalu, but I don't even think
Troy.
They don't give it to safeties. Dog. They don't give it to. It's a defensive line.
I mean, who do you guys even think wins the award this year? Patrick Surtain, probably.
Yeah,
maybe not even that.
Honestly, I would have voted if I voted, and this is just me. I would just vote the sack leader. I would just go Trey Hendrickson. I don't know who else you would go. I know he wasn't on a team that went to the playoffs. It's just who do you vote this year? Like who are you
Troy Polamalu won it in 2010. Bob Sanders won it in 2007. Ed Reed in 2004. But since it's become an offensive league, like Jeff said, 0.
Oh, guess what? Since it's been an offensive league, you got to give it to the guys that rush the quarterback.
No one on the Eagles are getting the award.
Yeah,
what? What you try sliding in there? What was that? What are you trying to be slick? What was that? What?
Nothing. Whew. All right.
What was that?
Great night.
Oh my god. Okay, so 3 safeties since 2000. Yeah. I would, and I love, again, nothing against Kirby. He's had a hell of a year. He's a hell of a player. But if you're saying Jeff, answer it, will he do it or not? I'll say no. I don't think he does it.
Yeah, I don't think he does. I don't think it's gonna. I don't even know if he'll be a finalist. To be honest, maybe. It's just one of those awards where they probably give it to an edge rusher. The only non-edge rusher this year to win it would be Patrick Surtain. That's the only one. He's probably going to be first or second in the voting. I just don't know. It's such a down year too, so you would think it's a year that Kirby could do that. But I just think there are people, like obviously he's leading the NFL in interceptions, so I think that's like a very good. If you're looking at stats, like it's a very good one. But if you're talking about, I don't know. It's such a weird position to win. You have to be so dominant for 17 games, I feel like. And on top of that, I feel like the race has to be, pretty down for you to even be considered. That's in my opinion. I'm a guy that's saying this with a current bet for Kirby Joseph to win Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm just like, I just don't think it'll happen. I think it's unrealistic, to be honest, at the end of the day.
Honestly, the guy who should win if it's not Pat Surtain should be Alex Van Ginkel, and I'm not even trying to troll. Like, he's been having his fucking season. He's been playing with his head cut off, but I guarantee Myles Garrett will win it for narrative again.
Myles Garrett again, dude?
Yeah. It'll be Myles Garrett.
Wow, and if you give it to Myles Garrett, you should give it to Trey Hendrickson because they didn't make the playoffs. Just give it to Trey Hendrickson. He deserves one.
Yeah, I would. I would go Trey. It's tough.
Why would you go Myles? That'd be crazy.
Because it's not just not making the playoffs. They were like the worst defense in the league. Like it's tough. But
yeah, but
you're
at that
right.
Point,
as an individual player, he's the defensive player of the year.
17 and a half sacks we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's nuts.
And people saying in the chat, Hutch would have won it. He would have dominated it. It would have been a domination, a runaway. Like he would have
unanimous.
You would have struck gold, Boone.
Oh, dude, Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year, Hutch, and Josh Allen. I think Lamar wins MVP. I had Josh Allen MVP, but either way, that would have been a good bet to all the way down to the end. That was a great bet I had going.
Yeah, love Kirby for the confidence though. I mean, I can't be mad at him.
Yeah, I mean, he has to say it, right? Like he's the player. It's like he's trying to get the award as well. And it's just, to me, it's tough. And I see a lot of people online too being like, "Hey, Brian Branch is like." I posted today. I don't know if you guys saw on our socials who's the best safety in the league, and we put Kirby. A lot of comments are like Brian's better. Like the Lions fans just straight up being like, "Hey, I think Brian Branch all around is a better safety." Yeah. Which it's like, if you have that argument. Yeah, like that argument, you look at it and it's like, all right, defensive player of the year, like the stats with the interceptions. But if we're talking tackles all around everything, is that a gummy bear over there, Klotz?
No, it's the same thing. Chocolate covered pomegranates. Not sponsored for this.
Addicted. We'll reach out to them. Let's get their email. Let's get a deal.
They keep me biting my nails.
Love that too. Hey,
it's good.
Mm-hmm. I gnaw on these things, bro. I have the nub of nubs, and I start like biting the skin around my fingernails too. It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
One of my goals this year is to get the boys to stop touching their nails.
Why'd you say it like that?
Yeah. Why'd you phrase it like that?
I don't know.
Hey, I got this. Tim Twentyman put this out. Some of the ranking comparisons for the Lions and the Commanders. Check this out. I'll get this lower third out of the way so you can actually see everything. But here you go.
Thank you, Jeff.
You got the offense and defense, and you look at the offense for the Lions. It's just 1, 2, 6. It's just 2, 4, 3, 6. They're just top in pretty much every category. But the Commanders,
they're right there.
They have a better rushing offense. Look at that, top 3.
They're right there.
They're right there in a lot of these categories. Passing offense, they're not the Lions, of course, but still third down offense, they're up there. Red zone offense, they're up there. Giveaways, they don't really give the ball away much. Like, they're with the Lions there. Defensively, though, you see points per game. Lions got them. Total defense, the Commanders got them, but it's because they have the third passing defense. But their rushing defense is 30th. It's like they swapped. The Lions are 30th. They have the 30th passing defense.
Yeah.
And the Commanders have the 30th rushing defense. And both are great.
Crazy.
The other. Third down defense, Lions are 1. Commanders are 15th. And then red zone, Lions are 7th. Commanders are 22nd, which I talked about earlier this week. But when you guys see this, you see some of the early rankings. You see any different ways the Lions could take advantage of the Commanders? Look at some of these stats.
When you said that, you sounded like John Gruden there. That T, that I don't know how you did it. I've been watching some John Gruden stuff. You sounded just like John Gruden. I've been watching like old quarterback stuff from him. Takeaway. All right.
Yeah, I love
Jared Goff. Last 2 minutes.
Dude, he is football mind. He is at the top, dude. He is very good football mind. I'm gonna say this. I've been on this for a while. Over the last couple months, I've gone and Jeff. You know what? My narrative over the last year has always been win the turnover battle. I think with this Lions team, the theme for them to me is the reason they're so good and they're gonna win a Super Bowl is because there's just 2 things and 2 things only. I think it's third down efficiency and red zone efficiency. I think it's those 2 things that when you look at offensively and defensively, I don't think people think about it as much, and people don't like take that into consideration all the time. You hear teams and you know, people on air and you know, breaking the team down doing this. They talk about, hey, this is the offensive yards. This is defensively what they give up in the yards. I look at, okay, when push comes to shove on a third down offensively, are you converting? And the Detroit Lions are 4th in the NFL at converting on third down. That is massive. Top 5 at that. And I think the same thing defensively. Like, When it comes down to getting off the field, third downs, are you getting those stops? Look at what the Detroit Lions defense is. I don't care if they're 20th in the NFL in total defense. I don't care if they're 30th in passing defense. And third down, to get your team off the field, they're the best team in the NFL at getting off the field on third down. Like, that is massive. I think that is more. That means more than how many yards they give up. Like, I think that's the biggest stat, especially when you have a number one ranked offense in the NFL. You're getting those possessions. And I think it's the same thing in the red zone, like finishing drives. When a team's trying to finish a drive, you stopping them. And they're 7th in the NFL at that. And they're 3rd in the NFL at finishing drives. So, like, every time I see these, that's the first thing I go to. I think the Lions, that's why they're going to win a Super Bowl. It's because they get those third down stops, those meaningful stops, even if it's in the red. And it's most likely, typically, those third downs are inside the red zone. So I think that's like the biggest key to this game. And you saw it 2 weeks ago versus the Vikings. You saw they were constantly in third, fourth down, inside the red zone, constantly getting stops, like over and over and over. And I think Anzo has him being back is a big reason why too.
Yeah, I think you got to take, especially like the passing defense, with a grain of salt, because when you look at the Commanders, like game flow wise, why be airing out on a team that's 30th against the rush? So you're going to be running, and they only have 4 games where it's not been a one possession games where it's a win, and it was against the Browns, the Saints, the Titans, and who was the last one? The Panthers. So yeah, it's like everybody's going to be blowing those teams out when you're a good team. It's another situation with, like, defensively. I look at like the Minnesota Vikings, where it's like the stats in the secondary are solid, but when you really look at who they got, Marshawn Lattimore is good, Jeremy Chinn's solid, Mike Sanders still solid, but they don't have any dudes on the defensive side of the ball in general. They don't have any, like, wow, like Bobby Wagner 5 years ago would have been like, wow. But to stop this offense, the one team that you saw had success, the Lions were putting up points, but was really keeping them in the game defensively, was the 49ers, because Nick Bosa was game wrecking. You look at Fred Warner, he was having a game. So I think you have to have a defense with a guy to stop this offense. So statistically, like, the third ranked passing defense could be scary, but it's like the Lions, like, this could be a game where Jared Goff goes, like Monday night on against the Seattle Seahawks, where he goes 18 for 18 for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. You're like, okay, cool, because you're just able to beat them up through the run game. So I think, especially in playoff time, it's always the saying, if you can run the football and stop the run, you're going to be playing a long time in January. But when you can't stop the run, it's something where it's just like, okay, your defense is only going to be able to hold up for so long. And as far as the rushing offense, it's all about stopping them through the air, because you're going to have to pass the ball against this Detroit Lions defense to keep up with them, because Jaden Daniels can break off for runs, but I do not see Brian Robinson having a lot of yards on the ground. I think this will be a situation, again, where the quarterback has more rushing yards than the running back, and that's not a recipe for success unless Jaden has 100 and Brian Robinson has 80. I just think this offense as a whole will put some drive together. But this Detroit Lions defense, even with injury, has enough players. Again, this is the best situation for the Lions as a whole, but especially for the Lions defense, because they do not have that many playmakers when you look at the other teams in the NFC. They got Terry McLaurin. End of story outside of Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just bring up what we kind of talked about here. I mean, a lot of these categories on defense where the Commanders are weak, Lions are great. So that's not really, I mean, even the Commanders are a really good rushing team. A lot of that due to Jaden Daniels, but you're facing one of the best rushing defenses. Like, the Lions 30th ranked secondary or passing defense, not secondary, passing defense. Commanders are 17th. Like, they're not like it's not like Jaden Daniels is throwing for 4,500 yards. Like, so it's favorable in a lot of the matchups that do matter. Even third down, like, Commanders are 15th in the league on third down defense. Lions are first.
Yeah.
So a lot of those key defensive rankings there, Lions have the advantage. So I saw someone put Micah Parsons pick the Commanders to upset the Lions this weekend.
Hey, good for Micah. He doesn't want to know what I think about him.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Micah Parsons. Yeah, that's a great. I feel even more confident now that he said something. So
he has, I'll say it, I just don't know if he knows ball. Like, he plays it. Some of the things he says, it's like, it's crazy. It's nuts.
You say he doesn't know ball.
I don't think he does. I think he's like one of those players who, like, he has a podcast, all that, this, that. It's like, dude, 90% of the things you say are like, people are like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, are you like, what? It's ridiculous.
Like, he's like one of those guys that excellent football player, knows X's and O's, but he's not like, he's not like paying attention to around the league. Like,
does he knows X's and O's if he's picking the Commanders over the Lions? Like, I guess X and O's. I guess that's different. I guess play wise, schemes. I guess schemes and all that. Yeah, I don't think he watches any.
So, I mean, he's a player. It's hard for guys. I mean, you're playing on games where you're supposed to be. He's probably just, want to be trendy. Pick the Commanders. Why would you pick a team in your division too? Like, what are you doing?
That's probably why he's like he wants his division to be great. It's just
this was a tough division this
year. He also said like a week ago he like guaranteed the Cowboys to win a Super Bowl next year. Like, it was like, dude, all right, like,
is that what he said?
Yeah, you didn't hear. It was like a guarantee. He was like, we're gonna be walking around next year with holding the trophy up with rings, and I was
like that stuff, man.
At what
Dallas
point,
fans,
at what point is someone in his circle gonna be like, dude, like, all right, let's cut the podcast out. Let's actually go win a ring. Like, let's go win something. Has he ever even been to a conference championship game yet?
No.
He has no room to talk.
I think they've won one playoff game since he's been.
Since then, wow. Okay, I've won 2 in my career with the Lions. So
no. No. Hey, fellas, time to get into this or that. Oh, yeah, a little bell ring. Hold on. I'll take the bell ring, though. Huh? It popped out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God.
Hey, we do this or that. If you guys don't know what it is, I give you situations. You choose one or the other. Okay, and situations regarding obviously on Saturday. So we're gonna get into it. First thing I have for the people, I'll ask you guys: who ends the game on Saturday with more passing yards? Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff. What do you think?
I feel like this is an easy one.
One team will be down.
Don't care. It's still Jared Goff. They don't let up. They do not let up. And I don't think they're going to win by 40 to where Jared doesn't play in the third quarter or fourth quarter. I think we've seen Jared Goff plenty of times over the last couple of weeks in that stretch of football since week 13 where he's gone out there and thrown for 350 yards like it's nothing. And you still have your running backs rushing for 150 yards. It's going to be Jared Goff. I guarantee you that. He'll have Jared Goff 300+ yard game. And Jaden Daniels isn't getting that.
Jaden might be able to compete total yardage wise with some of the runs he can get, but Jared Goff's going to be nuking this secondary. So give me Goff. This one's easy for me.
Yeah, I'll go Goff. I'm going to go Goff too. I mean, this is I think Jaden's going to have like 2 something. I think Goff just edges him out though. Next one I have, who has more rushing yards, Jaden Daniels or Jahmyr Gibbs?
Oh my God.
I mean, this is another easy one, Jeff. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr's going to have over probably 90+ rushing yards. He'll probably have 115 all-purpose yards on Saturday night. I would say Jaden ends. If I had to take a guess here, I would go Jaden Daniel ends the game with 70 to 85. I'll go between that number. I'll go 75 to 85 rushing yards. Jaden Daniels ends the game with.
I don't know how this was a question that came up on the prep. I wish you would have vetoed this one out. This is just disrespectful. I respect Jaden Daniels as a quarterback, what he can do with his legs, but this just is disrespectful to Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, even if Montgomery's getting 9
what about Montgomery?
15.
Montgomery? Is it still no?
Probably Jaden Daniels.
Is a better question. I'm going to go Jaden Daniels on that one. I'll go Jaden Daniels there. Boone.
Yeah, I would go Jaden Daniels as well. I think D-Mont maybe gets like, if he gets the carries, if he gets some carries, I think you could say 40 to 50 yards based on his, the situation he's in. I think Jaden, again, 75 to 85 yards on Saturday night. So I'd go Jaden Daniels over D-Mont, but I'm going Gibbs over Jaden Daniels 10 out of 10 times.
I think Jaden Daniels, boys, on Saturday, he's going to run for like close to 100 yards. He'll probably have like 90. Maybe I think he might even break 100 yards. It's going to be a lot. I'm still going to take Gibbs. No, I'm still going to take
Put your money where your mouth is.
I better see that on a bet this week.
I better
Jaden
you
Daniels,
straight bet.
alternate line, 75 rushing yards at least.
No, it should be 100. He just said it. I think he breaks 100.
What's Jaden Daniels' line right now?
I'm pulling it up. I know. I'm going to look at 100. You're betting 100. Hold on. I'm pulling it up.
Looked up. His line's at like 90.
Are we going to sit here and act like Justin Fields didn't rush for a 190 against the Lions before?
Yeah, but Justin Fields threw the ball like 13 times with 6 completions. Jaden Daniels actually has an opportunity through the air, and he's going to have to.
It's
like
plus
Jaden
650.
No, what's
Daniels
his
will be
line?
running
What's
the
his
ball.
line? I'm just curious, genuinely.
His line is 54.5.
That's light work, which that might be 54.5. Like I could hear you all day. Picking up more yards on the ground.
He'll get like 80, 90 yards. I know that. It's going to happen.
Jameer, it's the 30th ranked run defense. They're stopping Jameer?
No, I'm not arguing that. Yeah, I picked Gibbs. But I'm saying, like, side point, I think it's going to be a lot. I think it'll be a lot. Especially because they'll be down. He'll be running around. And Diggity Dog, no, I do not think it's the same team, but I'm just saying it happens.
Yeah, Jeff likes to say a lot of things sometimes.
I do. And this is one thing I do. I think Jaden Daniels run all over the place. All right, next thing. More receiving yards, Amon-Ra St. Brown or Terry McLaurin?
It's a tough one. I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown because I have a theory on Amon-Ra this week. And so I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Terry gets like 70, 80 yards, but I think Amon-Ra, playoff Amon-Ra, I think he has a game on Saturday night. I really do. I'm convinced Amon-Ra is going to have a big game.
I'm looking right now. So the first time that Amon-Ra played this Commanders team, it's obviously different, but I believe it was his rookie year or second year. He had 9 catches for 116 yards, and there's just team that Amon-Ra St. Brown owns, and I think this would be a coming out party that he's going to be owning the Washington Commanders for a long time. Marshawn Lattimore is going to be on the outside. You're going to have it's like Benjamin St. Juste or something like that manned up on the slot, or Mikey Sanders still. Give me Amon-Ra. And I think Terry's going to have like 3 catches probably for like 60 yards, probably around there.
I think he'll have more. I think he'll have like 6 catches, to be honest.
Think
7.
So?
Yeah, I mean, you think about the secondary. They do give up catches. We've seen it. It's the same thing. I know, like with Minnesota, they didn't give a bunch up, but like the secondary typically gives up a lot of catches.
Olamide Zaccheaus, Spoon.
I mean, I bet on him the other day, and I think he hit 25. I had my 25.
Yeah, shout out to Michael, by the way. That's my guy. Amon-Ra over under 73.5, McLaurin 68.5. So it's pretty close.
I'll probably take both overs, to be honest. I just think Amon-Ra has more.
I'm going to go Amon-Ra. I have a personal vendetta against McLaurin. I think he's just.
Yeah, remember, you got to bet on his over this week.
Yeah.
No, I'm not touching McLaurin.
No. You have to.
It's Shaquille's the Terry McLaurin no.
Oh, yes.
Company fund. That one's company funded.
I get you.
That one's company funded. That one is. We have to get that one in.
No. I was like, hold on. I thought we were going back to Jaden Daniels again. No. Terry, yeah, I'm with you. I'll bet the over, so therefore he doesn't hit the over. Yep.
And I want to hear you have to complain about it like normal, like this guy, just like you normally do.
Yeah, I will.
It's got to be real.
I never want to hear Scary Terry again. Goes out the next week, 9 catches, 114 yards.
It's crazy.
Game winner
so
against
wild.
the Cowboys.
Every time we threw him in a parlay this year, it was just Jeff. I'm like it's ingrained in my head. Jeff, just Scary Terry. This guy sucks.
All steak. Not a lot of
no sizzle. That's so. The dude's gonna be an All-Pro this year. He has 13 touchdowns on the season.
I think he's an All-Pro. I think he was voted All-Pro.
I think he had like 2 games, and I'm on that. But that's the narrative for me. Those 2 games. All right. Next situation: more sacks, Detroit Lions or the Washington Commanders? Who ends the game with more sacks?
That's such a good question. Klotz, you go first on this one.
More sacks.
Tough one. I'm going to go with the Commanders, especially because when you look at Jaden Daniels, that man's a handful to bring down. I don't know if there needs to be a pause there, but I'm going to throw a pause in there just in case. But I think Jaden Daniels, you look at their defensive line personnel-wise, they have a little bit of advantage. Cleveland Farrell, Dante Fowler, like you've been saying, Jeff, has been having a good season. Lions might be able to get a sack or 2, and that's like Jaden Daniels running into a sack. But I think even like you've seen this line start slow before, it doesn't guarantee they are next time. But I'm just going to go with the Commanders. I think they got better personnel-wise.
Oh no, this is a tough one.
Boone's nervous.
Yeah, no, this is a tough one. I'm trying to look at some. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think Jared Goff gets sacked much. I think maybe 2 or 3 times, if that. I think, honestly, can I say a tie? I think they both get sacked twice.
Oh, that's such a fucking no.
Okay, I'll go Jared. I'll go.
Question.
You know what? Jaden Daniels gets sacked the most. I'll stand on business there. They're going to find ways to get Anzo and get some schemes in there, contain him, sack him. It's going to happen. Lions offensive line's healthy, week off. They're about to step up.
Yeah, I'll go Lions. I think Lions get more sacks. I don't think it's not, by the way, it's a bit. I don't like him. Sure, he's a great human, but in terms of putting money on Terry McLaurin, no, I'm never doing that. But
you just don't see the field. You're not a sharp. You're not a wise guy.
No, I don't. I'm not a wise guy. Never claimed to be. Let Booner and Caleb handle that.
Jeff just makes like really bad bets. Like, I hate that guy. Why'd you take him in the first place?
I'll go Lions though, just because their offensive line, the Lions' offensive line is going to be just dialed in, and I think this Commanders' offensive line, they're gritty, but I don't see like. I hope not. He ends the game with no, so they don't get sacks at all. That would suck. But I'll go Lions. On this.
To be fair, the Bucks, I know they have some dudes on their D line. They only had 1 sack.
Oh, okay.
Eagles. Guess how many sacks the Eagles had?
Game reckon too.
How many?
3.
I'm gonna go Commanders. I'm gonna switch my answer.
The Dirty Durs.
All right, last one. Who will have more? Here's where it gets tricky. I'm going to phrase it this way, okay? Who will have more 4th down conversions?
Oh,
Successful or just attempts?
We can go attempts,
okay.
But I like adding like to actually convert. I like that better.
Okay, so who will have more successful 4th down conversions?
Yeah,
Detroit Lions. Locked it in.
Two aggressive teams.
Yeah, Detroit Lions. It's locked in. It's. Sorry, go ahead, Klotz.
No, go ahead. I don't want to speak over anyone.
All right. I'm the Detroit Lions will. I think it's interesting that like the league is starting to turn some of these teams like Dan Quinn. I just feel like they're all in. Like they have nothing to lose. And they've known that the last like 6 weeks. And Dan Quinn's like, we're going for it. And like they're I know Dan's probably Campbell, that is the best in the league at it, but Dan Quinn's right behind. Like, yeah, that's my mindset too. That's what Dan Campbell's been like for years. It's like, hey, we're and I think, and I'm just gonna throw this out there, and maybe I'm explaining this the wrong way. I just think Dan Campbell, there was a point where I was like, why just keep doing this? Why just keep doing this? I think it's gotten to a point. He does it so much, like teams, every time a team plays the Lions now, they feel forced to have to do it. Like the Vikings feel like they had to do it. When you never saw Kevin O'Connell on 4th downs, and then versus the Lions, all of a sudden, boom, he's going for it on 4th downs. Now versus Dan Quinn, I know Dan Quinn does it. He's going to be forced to have to do it. Guess what? If you play the Rams or the Eagles next week, guess what they're going to feel like they're forced to do? At some points, go for it on 4th down because the Lions do it so much. And it's the same thing if you get to the Super Bowl. Like I think Dan Campbell has now crossed that territory to where it's like it's no longer bad decisions. It's like a chess move to where it's like the other team is now forced to have to make, like he has gotten that good at it and people are expecting it that much, which is a good thing. Like the table has completely turned in 180 on it.
I'm gonna go with the Commanders though. I think that the Lions they'll be successful, but I think the Lions offensively are gonna have way more success. I think they're gonna be staying ahead of the downs. I think it's gonna be easier for them to convert on 3rd down versus the Commanders situation. And like you said, Boom, the Commanders are good at converting in those situations. So especially like in the 4th quarter, I think like you could see in the 4th quarter Washington go for it 3 times. The Lions are probably gonna go for it on 4th down 3 times the whole game if it's going scripted how we expect it to. So I think Washington is going to have more opportunities to do it, and they'll convert on a good amount of those. So give me the Commanders.
Yeah, I'll go Commanders as well because I don't think the Lions will have to be as aggressive. And I think with Jane Daniels' legs, like I can see him converting. Like I think they'll have more attempts, so therefore I think they'll have more conversions. But the Lions, I don't think we'll need to use it really. Like I think, like you said, Klotzy, they'll be ahead of the chains, man. They'll be just pounding the football. Like if it's like 3rd and 2, they're going to convert it. I don't think it's going to be.
That's a good point. It's a great point.
But hey, That's this or that. I also have this too, which I just Boone sent me, and it's interesting because Honolulu Blues posted this out to them, and it's all on sports books, man. You could check it out in any sports book. Lions, look at these touchdown scores, heavy favorites. Everyone's a favorite. I mean, except Sam Laporta, he's plus 135. So it's like, look at Jameer minus 400, David minus 300, Amon-Ra minus
Crazy.
Jameson minus 105.
Do you have lower too, or no? Does it
I
go
do.
any lower?
There's no one else. I mean, there's Craig Reynolds and Sione Vaki down here,
But what's crazy?
Oh, I know they're not.
Is there anyone below those guys or no?
no, I
Tim
don't have that.
Patrick?
What's crazy is if you go down there to the bottom, Jeff, and Honolulu Blues posted this in their post. Those two guys, can you go to the bottom?
Yep.
Those two guys, Craig and Sione, there's only 3 Commanders players ahead of them. There are still like Zach Ertz, multiple starters on this Washington Commanders team that are below Craig Reynolds and Sione Vaki. That's crazy.
What the
That's
fuck is
like
Vaki doing up there too? Because even like Jamar Jefferson's been getting the red zone carries.
crazy, dude. Plus 220 anytime. That's like the guy number 14, whatever his name is, that I always talk about for the Commanders. Yeah, like he's not even like he's below those two. Like that's crazy. I don't know if the odds have changed since they posted this, but this was earlier today at least. But like even for at some point these odds to be like this, that's nuts. It's absolutely.
The only juice is first touchdown. That's the juice.
Minus 400 for get. I'm gonna check now and see if it moved at all, real quick. I'd be interested to see if they we mess these lines up.
They think everyone's touching Pater, and they think Sione Vaki and Craig Reynolds will be in basically when the game's over. You know,
lines drastically moved. I think FanDuel messed up. I think someone in their department like completely
dropped the ball.
So what were those again, Jeff? Did you lose some? So it was
minus 400 for Gibbs, minus 320 for David.
So Gibbs is now minus 230. David Montgomery's minus 160. Amon-Ra minus 134 or 35. J-Mo is now plus 130. Laporta plus 140. And then it's Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Zacchaeus, De'Ami Brown, and then Tim Patrick. And then a bunch of Lions players. Khalif Raymond or Craig Reynolds. What was he? Plus 200 in there?
Plus 220 or something like that.
He's plus 1,200 now.
Yeah, that's insane to have the whole running back depth chart in order.
Imagine putting that bet in at like plus 200 and then it like switches because you're like, they must know something. And then it switches.
Yeah, you're taking everybody's under from Washington.
Yeah, and then all the lines just change.
Hey, shout out, man. Proud cheer dad tuning in. First time watching live. What's up, guys?
Hey, let's go. Appreciate you tuning in.
And look at that. We got the air horns going off. Appreciate you, Proud cheer dad. Yeah, we're live every day during the week, 8 to 10 p.m. So always pop in here. But yeah, I mean, I think that makes more sense. The lines you just brought up. That's on par.
It's a drastic difference.
Yeah, with what it should be. Well, speaking of the playoffs, RG3 put this out. I thought it was interesting because he mentioned in the tweet 7 of the 8 quarterbacks in the NFL divisional round of the playoffs are mobile quarterbacks. The new prototypical NFL QB is mobile, and it's never going back. But here's the thing that I found very interesting. Jared Goff is on here as the immobile guy, right? But you have Stafford, CJ Stroud. So what does that mean? Well, why is Stafford is Stafford mobile? Is this new information that I didn't know what happened or what? What's going on with that?
I don't know. I mean, this tweet was just thrown at the wall, I think, and seeing if it sticks. I mean, there's I could see the point of where he's saying the new prototype NFL quarterback is a mobile quarterback. Like, I think that's very easy to see. You look at all the top quarterbacks in the draft. Most of the time, they have some ability to run versus the guys like the Desmond Ritters, the pocket quarterbacks. Those guys are staying in the second and third rounds. So even guys like Bo Nix, they have some mobility. But I couldn't tell you why you'd say 7 out of the 8. CJ Stroud can run, but he rarely does. Matthew Stafford, I guess, in the pocket mobility. But even if you saw Jared Goff this year, his mobility inside the pocket took a huge step up. He's even taken off and ran a couple of times. So I don't know. I think you're still going to have guys that are pro-style quarterbacks that will have success in the league. Just because if you can pick apart a defense, you're going to have some success. But 7 out of the 8 is outlandish.
Yeah, I want to say this too. Like in the way he broke it down, like he kept tweeting about it like underneath, and he was talking about how he thought the mobile quarterbacks, like there's a difference between a running quarterback and a mobile quarterback, which I agree with. I definitely agree. Like, hey, there is a difference between a quarterback that'll go out there and get you 50 rushing yards, 100 rushing yards, like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels. Like, I think there's a difference between them and then like the CJ Strouds or the Staffords or the Goffs. Like, there's definitely a difference. I'll say this about Jared Goff this year, and you guys can disagree with me all you want. There has been times in the pocket this year compared to years past that we've seen where Jared has been able to get around in the pocket this year, way more than we've seen in the past. And I don't even want to say like him getting out of the pocket and running for a first down. Like, we've seen that. We've never seen that out of him. And I would love to even see, like, I think his rushing yards are like 50 this year. And I know that's not crazy, but for a guy like Jared Goff to be able to go out there, and we've seen moments where it's like, typically it's a sack. Typically it's like, hey, play's over. He's fumbling. He's doing this. This year, he's been able to rush for first downs, and he's made plays where you're like, okay. And I think one of the biggest things with Jared Goff this year, and I think guys like Ben Johnson actually have talked about it throughout the year, is Jared's been very good in the pocket at moving around, getting into spots, and making throws on the run and doing that this year. I feel like he's made a little bit of a jump over the last year in his career. And that's where it's like, I get Stafford can move and Stafford can get out and do that. But I mean, if we're talking mobility in the pocket, mobility around there to make throws, I think you can still have an argument that, hey, like, yeah, Jared's not one of the best at it. He does it now. If you've watched him this year play, and if you've been dialed into him, you've been able to see him in the pocket has been completely different. And I'm not going to put him on a level and say, oh, he's right there with CJ. I'm not going to do that. But he definitely has made a step forward this year and being like more mobile, and that mobility in the pocket. Like, it's been, and Klotz, I think you're one that we might have talked about it, because in the past you've been like, I mean, this guy's like, he can't move. He's like a baby giraffe in the pocket. I felt like this year he's like, we have seen that once, twice, and outside of that, it's been like every time you like, oh, like you scrunch up and you're like, oh no, he's done. Boom, he's out of the pocket. He's moving, making a play to someone, or he's throwing the ball away. And or like those games where he went 18 for 18, or he's going 21 for 24. Like, he's moving out of the pocket. He's moving in the pocket. He's being mobile. Boom, getting the ball off. And it's like, we haven't seen that out of Jared Goff. Like, this is the first year we've seen that. And it's like, and Ben Johnson said, it was like, people are actually starting to see what we've seen at practice, and he's getting confident to do that. So, like, for RG3, it's like, hey, if you've watched a lot of Jared Goff this year, he's taken a little bit of a jump in that part of his game. And he's not a running quarterback. Like, he's not like Shop VTG said Hendon Hooker's mobile. Hendon Hooker, to me, he can go out there and make plays if he needs to. We saw it when he played in the preseason, got the concussion. He ran for 15 yards and made a play. Jared can't do that, but Jared's a mobile in the pocket, and he'll get in and out of it, and he'll make a play. That's my mind with the mobile quarterback versus running quarterback.
Yeah, and the thing about being that type of quarterback in today's NFL, like, to not be mobile, there's only, a handful of guys that aren't mobile, but they have to be. Jared isn't mobile. Like, he's mobile in the pocket, but I guess when you compare him to like Jaden Daniels or all these guys, he's not that, but he's so good at what he does. And I think there's more pressure on Goff. Like, if you're not going to be able to move like these guys, you got to be an excellent quarterback. You got to be basically the ultimate point guard at getting the ball out and getting it to your playmakers. And he does that at the highest level. So he doesn't really need to be, he just doesn't, he's like, I mentioned this when we talked about Jared before, and this is like before the season, but I said, man, if he's not mobile, you got to be, you essentially got to be Aaron Rodgers or whatever, and he's putting up that type of numbers. Like, that's what he has to be. He's accurate with the football, great decision maker. He can push the ball downfield. The way he throws the football doesn't put it in danger. So, like, he does what he's supposed to do at a very high level, at an elite level. Is he mobile, like, compared to these younger quarterbacks and everyone coming into the league? No, because that's just how it is. I guess that the game is changing. More quarterbacks are coming in with more mobility, But that doesn't mean Goff, he's still going to be successful and be great because he's great at what he does. And this offense doesn't ask him to even do that. I mean, he has 2 star running backs. It's like you're giving the ball to those guys. Like Goff isn't really having to scramble. He can extend plays really well. And I think that's really good about Goff. Like sometimes there'll be times where he's avoiding a sack. He's not the baby giraffe example. He's not that all the time. He can evade a sack and make a play. So, Goff's fine, Ben. Like, the whole thing with it. Yeah. Even though the league's changing, Goff, I think doing what he's doing at the level he's doing it at, there'll be quarterbacks that come in that aren't as mobile. And it just works. Like you're seeing it even with a guy like Shedeur Sanders. Like Shedeur, yeah, he can move a little bit, but he's not running. He wants to stay in the pocket and push the ball downfield. Like even Cam Ward, like Cam can move, he can move too, but those guys are pass first guys. And that's what Jared is, doesn't have the mobility of those guys. But that's okay. Lions, who cares, man? Like I don't think the old school quarterback, the field general is dead. I don't think it's dead yet. It's still fine. It's okay. Because even the mobile guys in the league, I mean, haven't won a Super Bowl. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been many. I mean, you can consider Mahomes mobile, but there's so many teams that would pray to have a guy like Jared Goff, like Jared Goff's arm, because Jared Goff does have to overcompensate. Like you have to be incredibly accurate. But you see guys like even like use the example of Tua and Geno Smith, incredibly accurate. They're more mobile than Goff. But in crunch situations, like Goff just has that composure. It goes more than just athleticism. Like football, especially at the quarterback, is a mental game. So if you're a very smart player, you're going to be able to. You're not going to see the pocket quarterbacks as much because in high school, in college, all of those schemes are developed around being a semi-mobile quarterback. So you're not going to see the Jared Goffs as much. But even Jared Goff, when he was in LA, like with his career at the beginning, like he would have to run and he could run. He was one of those sneaky athletic guys because he's tall and he has long legs. He can cover some ground. But as you get older, like Jared Goff realized, like, hey, I don't need to worry about running. I need to worry about making tight window throws, anticipatory throws where my guys can have more yards after catch. Because even if Jared Goff runs for 4 yards, that's really not doing much because he's doing it twice a game. If you can throw Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra into a spot where they can run for 5-6 extra yards multiple times throughout the drive, that's what's important. So, like you said, Shedeur Sanders, he's going to be the new type of pocket quarterback, but I honestly prefer a mobile or a guy that can stay inside the pocket and just pick you apart. Yeah, if you can
Joe
run,
Burrow,
that's great, but
Joe Burrow's
exactly.
elite
Like
at
Joe
it.
Burrow, he can run for 50-yard touchdown.
He's
He
elite.
does, but if you just have a guy that can pick you apart, no matter what you do defensively, I'd prefer that every time instead of a guy that relies on the run a little bit too much when you need to throw.
I mean, I like obviously like Patrick Mahomes, like he can pick you apart and he can run. So like that's like such like that's why he's Patrick Mahomes. But like I agree with you, Klotzy. I think like Josh Allen this year he picked teams apart. That's why he's probably going to have a chance to win MVP. But I'm with you. Like there's still like I don't think like it's dead guys like Joe Burrow. Like, you literally are you're still seeing it right now. RG3, I get RG3's point, but
yeah, you see guys like Joe Burrow having success, man. Like he's the ultimate like is a quarterback.
What's crazy is that he's like 7 out of the 8 teams have mobile quarterbacks. Like things are changing. All right, so that one quarterback, his team's the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Like
and he's been in the Super Bowl before with a different team. And there's these guys like Lamar, Josh Allen, who are insanely good. They're insanely great, insanely mobile, but they haven't been to one Super Bowl.
Look at this. Josh Allen basically ran a 4.8, 40, identical 10 and 20-yard splits. Josh Allen runs like a bull. Jared runs like an alpaca. An alpaca. Same speed, but different for sure.
Yeah. It's again why 40 times don't matter whatsoever.
Yeah, no. Not at all. Hey, by the way, drop your questions, Mailbag. Get them ready. Start dropping them because, it's about that time. Tomorrow, dude, we have a packed week, too. I mean, tomorrow we got the doc. Thursday, we have a handful of – I think we have 2 guests joining the program. Friday, we got a guest. So this whole week, man, going forward, we got some good people to talk to. I'm excited. We get the doc tomorrow.
Yeah, doc. That'll be something.
After the doc
last week, what was it? Was it the Joy Taylor situation last week with Doc?
Yeah. Yeah, he had some things to say. He still wants the emote. He's been asking me for the emote. He wants his own doc.
Yeah.
By the way, members, there's emotes. If you guys, I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but there are emotes in there you guys could use. And I think Doc wants his own. He wants a clickbait one. So we'll get him that. Ryan, mailbag, if Ben goes to Vegas, do they trade for Hendon Hooker? I do think that's something I thought about this week too. I was sitting there and I'm like, man, because this sounds weird, but you guys randomly think about the Lions and stuff, right? Just randomly you'll think about them.
Yeah.
I thought about Hendon Hooker the other day. And I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be tough, like to be drafted and know you're just never going to start. Like that's tough. Especially as a competitor and as someone like him who he was going to be one of those guys coming out of college. If I were AG or Ben, I would for sure trade for Hendon Hooker, and it would be a win for him because he would get to start somewhere. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying he's book him to be a franchise guy, but I like him a lot. I think he could be a really good quarterback. And I absolutely like Ben Johnson. Like if you go to Vegas and you have no quarterback, yeah, why not trade for a guy that's been in your system for, 2 years now.
Yeah. Has a handle on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do that, but it's good thought.
Boone comes back from like space and just drops that, dude.
Yeah, I was tweeting out my thought with the RG3 before I forgot it. I wanted to throw
Bro, just hold on a second. Yeah, no, you're wrong.
I wanted to, before I forgot about my RG3 thought, I wanted to make sure I got it.
Jeff, I have no clue what you just said, but incorrect.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
well, no, I read the Ryan thing. Shout out Ryan. I read it. He said if Ben goes to Vegas, do they trade for Hooker? And then obviously, I don't know what you said, but I'm guessing you were like, yeah, great thought. Love Hooker. Like you love him. So I was like, no, it's not gonna happen.
He said they're winning. They're at least going to the wild card first year. Hey, your Ben Johnson, Hendon Hooker story. He could be throwing to Jacoby Myers and you got Brock Bowers out there, maybe Amir Abdul and Alexander Madison out of the backfield.
Some reason, you know what, in my mind might not be working the best right now. I thought you said Jacoby Brissett, and I was like, what?
No, Jacoby Myers?
Oh, it's good. Guy. Yeah, no, I love Jacoby Myers. He was on my bench in fantasy. I loved him. Great pick. I bet on him this year a lot, too. I would do my NFL parlays, and he was one that always made the cut.
Let's see here. Ryan, shout out to you, Ryan. You got back-to-back Ryan questions, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Ryan Gibson. Mailbag, do we get draft picks for AG and Ben? I believe so.
So the compensatory picks, yep. The way they work, at least my understanding, and we can have some guys on to talk about it more.
Well, John, we'll ask Doc tomorrow.
We asked the Doc. Yeah, I think though what it is if you lose more players than you bring in the off season. So that's how they kind of look at it. So like AG and Ben, I believe they count as two guys you're losing. And then say that's why it was so big that, trading for a 1-year deal guy that's probably going to leave, like say Zadarius Smith, if you opt out and he leaves, or, like certain guys who are supposed to get extended and instead of extensions, they walk away. Like those 1-year deal guys, like if they walk away, that's essentially how it works. So like say you lose 6 guys, and you only sign 4 guys, then you'll get some picks, comp picks. That's essentially how it works.
I did see this.
I believe, don't quote me completely on that, but from my understanding and my research, that's how that's kind of how I understand the comp picks.
Anakin says, Mailbag, if this game comes down to a field goal, which do you go for it and trust Bates, or risk giving them the ball back?
If the game comes down to a field goal, which do you
like tie it up, or are you up, or are you down?
Like if you can kick it for a Jake Bates win and end it, then I think you kick it.
Yeah, I go there.
Yeah,
I think maybe what he's saying is, do you guys remember the situation a couple of weeks back where they could have probably kicked a field goal, and instead of kicking it, they went for it on 4th down and then kicked it, so the game was over, so they had no time left. That's my thought. You guys remember that situation? And they went for it. Jared,
I would run for it again. I'd go to kill the game again, given how bad this defense is at stopping the run. And then you want to talk about something that can create issues and like a 2-minute situation is a mobile quarterback picking up an extra 15 yards with his legs to get him in field goal position or something like that. So if you do it against the Packers, an NFC North game, I think that says that you should be doing it in the playoffs too, especially if you're winning like
that. Ryan, real quick before we answer this, ETN, 1 second. Ryan, we only get comp picks for AG because he's a minority. We get a 2025 third and 2026 third. Players are different than coaches.
Yeah, and if that's true, then that's big time. When I read it, it said like if you lose more than you get back. I don't understand that, but that makes sense, Ryan.
Let's see. Bada bing, bada boom. Mailbag. Does Hutch play in the Super Bowl if we make it? Yes or no?
Want me to be honest? I say no.
I'll say no too.
I just don't know if I think the timetable is. You're muted, Klotz.
Yeah, I think it'd be much more vocal, like it's happening if it was a realistic shot at this point. Like with Monty, we were like, oh, he's probably going to be coming back. I think we'd be hearing that same noise with Hutch.
Ball don't lie. Mailbag, in your opinion, who had the better rookie year, C.J. Stroud or Jaden Daniels?
Oh, C.J. Stroud. He broke every record.
It's tough to say.
The record breaker, like rookie record, like you have to give
4,000 his rookie year. Bro.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like this year, who had the better year? Obviously, Jaden Daniels this year.
And he won his division.
Sophomore. Yeah, he lost in the playoffs, but either way, didn't he lose in the playoffs?
No, they beat the Browns.
Oh, they beat the Browns.
He won a playoff game and then lost to
C.J. Stroud. Then 100%. Yeah. This year though, Stroud sophomore year compared to Jaden Daniels rookie year. Jaden Daniels rookie year over C.J. Stroud this year.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, he's having a sophomore.
But that year last year was unbelievable by C.J. Stroud. That was historic. It was crazy.
Michael Daly says St. Brown podcast should be interesting tomorrow with Jeff's hero. Who's
your hero?
Who's joining the show tomorrow?
There goes.
I'd have to look. Drop it in there, Michael, so we know.
Michael, tell me. Now I'm intrigued. Who am I watching tomorrow? Cy Gray, Mailbag. Ben Johnson wants Bill Belichick type of power over team operations. Thus, he will be back next year. Cy Gray, that's more of a statement, but I
love it.
I love it. Yeah, I love the take.
I think he comes back to. Oh, Caleb Williams is on the St. Brown podcast tomorrow.
Oh God, yeah. Jeff's gonna be curled up with some hot cocoa, painting his nails, filing his toenails down.
Wow, what a get for them though. That's gonna be interesting. Oh man, what color? Never mind. Were you muted? You good over there?
This guy, man. All right. Yeah, I'm sick of this, dude. I'm sick of this guy. Freddie fell through on 3. Mailbag. How many TDs will Sonic score on Saturday night? I'm calling for a hat trick.
Wow.
He had 4 against San Fran, too. Or no, he had 4 against Minnesota.
I think he gets 1. Shout out Freddie, too.
I'm going to go with 2. I'll go with 2.
I'll go 2. I'm going to go 2, too. Yeah, I could see maybe one through the air, 1 on the ground.
By the way, that reminds me with Freddie, because I saw Freddie posted that he went to the I think Freddie went to the bakery that did the Amon-Ra St. Brown cake. They're doing like the ticket giveaway, and Amon-Ra St. Brown showed up. I don't know if you guys saw the video. Like it was like hundreds of people outside of this bakery. It was crazy. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, like, dude, this is why I love the team and like love these guys and what's kind of getting built in Detroit. It's like this guy's at Amon-Ra's at a random bakery in Rochester. And he's just out there like talking on the mic, and there's hundreds of Lions fans. It's like, this is crazy.
I've walked by that bakery
hundreds of times. Yeah, dude. I mean, Rochester's 20 minutes down the road. I mean, it's just great. By the way, downtown Rochester, beautiful place, dude. Just gonna throw that out there. Love that spot. Jeff, that spot, I don't even know what it is called, but it's
yeah, they got billiards down there.
Great spot. They have a great restaurant down there too.
Great cocktail bars down there.
Yeah. There's one that I go to all the time. I can't remember the name of it. Great spot. Had a nice drink there once.
Jukiro, Mailbag Wood. Who's Lattimore sitting on this game?
No one.
I'd imagine trying JMO. He'd attempt.
Yeah.
I just don't like how that's phrased. I just don't like it. I don't. Who's he sitting on? Well, probably JMO. I would say probably JMO. All right, Malik.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
bro?
why are you staring at me? You're like,
I'm looking into the camera. This is my job, dude. I get paid to look into the camera. I'm doing it.
Malik says,
staring at you. We're remote. What do you want me to do?
Malik says, Are there any coordinators at the college level that you'd be willing to take a gamble on in case Ben or AG leave?
No, I'm okay. I'll pass.
What about Wink?
I'm
Good
out.
old Wink. Oh,
Chip Kelly, Boone. Chip Kelly with
No.
that run game.
Out. There's not one coordinator.
Ryan Day, quarterback coach.
No.
Oh,
There's not one.
Hey,
There's
if he's
not
out
one
of
person in
Columbus,
college
that's a
football.
step forward.
The only person I would take would be don't know why I'm trying to blank right now.
That's a good one.
Lane Kiffin. Bring me Lane Kiffin.
why Lane Kiffin?
Love Lane Kiffin. He's electric.
Dude, like responds to people on Twitter. He just sounds like.
I love that. Hey, I have a little pride. Love it. He's electric.
Mitch says, "Are you guys going to the game?" No, we're working the game. We'll be live.
Yeah, we'll be doing a show. Shout out Mitch too.
Yeah.
Saginaw Valley guy. Absolute legend.
I didn't know I was talking to a Cardinal.
Hey, Jeff, how about this too? Saginaw Valley
Respect.
golfer. He's a golf guy.
Can Mitch help me break 100?
Probably. He's elite.
That's a long shot.
He's elite.
Shut up, Clancy. Enough of you. All right.
I said enough of you.
Enough of you.
Get out of here.
Eric Wilson says, "Mailbag. How many milligrams are y'all on right now?"
What's that?
There's Boone's answer.
Yeah, yeah. No milligrams.
No, we're
Got
good right
some
now.
nice sweet tea.
Indulge after the show to get to bed.
I got some sweet tea.
Yeah, no. I got some sweet tea. What is it?
Simple.
It's free sweet tea, isn't it, Boone?
It is sugar free. I didn't even know that was a thing. I was drinking it and looked at the
I
label.
don't
It said
think it
sugar
is.
free. I was
That's-
like, how do they do sweet tea with no sugar?
Eric
Hey,
Wilson-
Mitch, we can get Mitch. We can get him to help you break 100. Let's go.
Hey, Mitch. We'll get Mitch out. I'm
Mitch
cool
is
with
elite.
that.
Mitch is elite.
Eric Wilson says, "Y'all got the giggles." Well, I mean,
Fun show today.
this happens a lot, Eric. All right, this happens a lot. The show goes off the rails. Okay, so appreciate you for that, though. No milligrams. Maybe one day we'll get like a strain, like a crunch time. Maybe we'll have a deal with a dispo.
D-Mac's getting his own strain.
That's the way.
To have like a crunch time.
The Booner
It
pass.
kind of goes like with the crunch time. You know, you're indulging. You get the.
I mean, I don't indulge, but the boys do. Listen, you guys indulge.
business.
Yeah, business. Yeah, I mean, I'm always down to make money, so I'm in businesses. I'm in. I don't indulge. I will be in the business to, financially. It'll
If the
benefit.
Lions win the Super Bowl, you're smoking on that Chiefs pack.
I'm not smoking on anything besides maybe a cigar. I'll smoke on a cigar. I do love.
Oh, don't you worry. I'll get
It's like
some
on
Hey,
I don't know if you're familiar with my game. I won a national championship last year. I don't know if you saw that video or not.
Yeah. That's
Champagne,
yeah, Boone,
cigar.
let me take care of the cigars. I'll get you.
Well, no,
they
no,
happen
no,
in
we would
Columbus
take
a lot this year, Boone.
But
I
I'll
can
say
get
I'll say this, Jeff. I know you haven't won a championship before. Hey, I am certified. I know what I'm doing. I'll make sure I have champagne and cigars for the boys. Don't worry.
Okay. I trust
Well,
you.
if you got some good cigars too, hey, you do that.
Freddie.
I love that,
The
Freddie.
Booner pack. The
That's
Booner pack.
Just got a Booner's face on the front of it, like a Bucky Beaver or something like that. By the way, boys, I know this is kind of like, have you guys ever had Sheets?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sheets
yeah.
at the gas station. Yeah,
Sheets,
elite.
I would go to Sheets 1,000 times out of 10.
Sheets is
over
very
Buc-ee's.
good. They have like the little you can like order food and stuff. Their food is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, their
That's
food-
what
their
Buc-ee's
food's good.
should be.
Yeah,
They
Sheetz
went
is
over
good.
the top. They lost their mind.
Buc-ee's.
There's another one. There's Sheets,
that
Buc-ee's, and
works.
there's one more. If anyone in the chat knows it, there's a third one that's like people put in that category. I can't remember what it's called though.
Loves.
No, not Loves.
Hey, we stopped at a Loves in Nashville.
There's some good Loves, but I don't think Loves is on the level of like a Sheets or Wawa. It's a Wawa. I don't know if you guys heard of
Freddie.
Wawa.
Okay,
Oh,
Freddie.
I've had Wawa before.
Yeah. So I think Wawa and Sheets are like the top two. I think people look at Wawa and Sheets as like the elite of the elite, and then Buc-ee's is like Klotz. You hate it, but I think people like that's not even elite. That's like cult. So
It's a cult. I got a cult over. I don't know what's going on with Buc-ee's. That shit's a cult, man. I don't know. It's
hey, buddy
Great.
said, "Where's the blue Kool-Aid? Will be back Saturday night. Can't wait."
it'll be a good.
And
time.
I'll have my Warrior face paint on. I'll be ready to go. Playoff Booner's back. I'm ready to go on Saturday
Trying to
night.
say the guy's name from 300, Boone. It always entertains me.
I don't even know.
You always mess it up. You're like, what's his name?
Leonardus.
Leonidas.
Leonardus.
I got what I needed. So there we go.
Yeah, Leonardo. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow with the doc. It'll be a great show. See you then. Appreciate you all. as always. It's always a good time.
Yes. Love you guys.
Appreciate you spending 2 hours with us. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow. Content throughout the day, so it'll all be on YouTube. Follow us on all social media platforms if you aren't already, and get your merch, officialctsports.com, because it's great merch. But until tomorrow, we will catch you all. Peace.
Yeah.